In Gotham City, the citizens are protected by a hero. Some doubt his existence and write him off as urban legend, but others know the truth, that all criminals should fear the Bat. And the hero has his work cut out for him. Gotham is a city synonymous with crime. That's the new District Attorney Harvey Dent's platform. He promises to root out the syndicate in their city and make Gotham a safe place for decent people. That syndicate is led by Carl Grissom and his right-hand man, Jack Napier. Not only does Carl have to worry about Harvey, but there's also the matter of Jack sleeping with his wife, something Jack thinks Carl is unaware of. At the Gotham Globe, Alexander Knox is mocked by his colleagues for covering Batman, who is obviously a hoax. But at his desk, he finds a woman who believes his stories, renowned photographer Vicky Vale. She proposes they work together for a story on the hero. Knox enthusiastically agrees, but it'll be tough. The best place to start would be Commissioner Gordon. Knox knows he has a file on Batman, but hasn't been able to reach the commissioner. But Vale has an idea. Gordon will be at Bruce Wayne's benefit party, and she has 2 tickets. Elsewhere, Grissom panics. Dent is investigating Axis Chemicals, one of the syndicate's many fronts. He asks Jack to personally oversee the operation to clear the place out before the investigators reach it. And Jack leaves, unaware Grissom is setting him up. The mob boss calls Lieutenant Eckhart, one of Gotham PD on Grissom's payroll, to arrange for a hit on Jack at Axis Chemicals, retribution for sleeping with his wife. At Wayne's benefit, Knox has no luck getting answers from Gordon, and soon the commissioner is called away by an anonymous tip. Napier's cleaning out Axis Chemicals. Later, as Knox and Vale poke around Wayne Manor, they bump into Bruce. He knows Knox's writing and Vale's photos. Their talk is interrupted by Bruce's butler, Alfred, who lets him know Commissioner Gordon was called away unexpectedly. Alfred's knowing gaze tells Bruce that he'll need to be Batman tonight. In the Batcave, Bruce watches footage recorded from one of the hidden cameras at his party and learns where the commissioner was heading, Axis Chemicals, a place where the corrupt Lieutenant Eckhart and his men prepare to kill the unsuspecting Jack Napier. But inside, when Jack sees all the records already gone, he knows it's a setup. He evades police fire as Commissioner Gordon arrives and takes over from Eckhart. He orders them to cease fire. Jack is to be taken alive. In the chaos, Jack kills Eckhart for setting him up. Then, before he escapes, Batman gets to him. In their brawl, despite Batman's attempt to save him, Jack falls into a vat of green acid. The next night, Vicky heads to Wayne Manor for a date with Bruce. There, Alfred regales her with tales of raising the boy, and she tells Bruce about her childhood. They get to know each other, while elsewhere, Jack gets to know his new self. A doctor removes bandages, and in the mirror, Jack is disgusted by what he sees. Then, his mind seems to snap as he continuously laughs a mad laugh. At Wayne Manor, Bruce and Vicky finally kiss. And at Grissom's home, Jack Napier pays the mob boss a visit, where he debuts his new face and name. The Joker, with green hair, pale white skin, and a face stuck in a rictus grin. He dances with joy as he kills the man who set him up. The next morning at Wayne Manor, Vicky invites Bruce to lunch at her place, but he's going to be out of town for a few days. On her way out, she learns this is a lie when Alfred is confused by her mention of their travels. Elsewhere, the Joker informs the other crime leaders that he's taking over for Grissom. When one opposes him, Joker shakes his hand, and a small device in his palm reduces the man to a smoldering skeleton. He brings in his armed goons, then tells the others to leave and think it over. With the room cleared, Joker tells Bob to follow the reporter Knox and see what he knows about Batman. Later, Vicky follows Bruce Wayne unseen. She spies on his visit to an unassuming street corner where he solemnly leaves roses. And she follows him to a press conference where Ricorso, one of Jack's fellow crime lords, announces that Grissom left all his assets to him. Then, in front of Bruce, Vicky, Knox, and the public, the Joker makes his debut, assassinating Ricorso. At Wayne Manor, Alfred presses Bruce to see Vicky. Alfred knows he likes her. Bruce refuses, saying he can't go on with that right now. And Alfred asks, if not now, when? And Bruce quietly answers, I don't know. And Bruce isn't the only one taken by Vicky Vale. At his lair, Joker looks at Bob's photos of Knox and spots her in one of them. The Joker is immediately smitten by her. Later, he spreads his chaos. He produced a new drug called Smilex, and a few have already suffered its effect. 2 models were found dead, with faces frozen in grotesque smiles. And on live TV, a newscaster laughs uncontrollably, suffering the same fate. As the public watches, Joker takes over the airwaves to announce the drug and warns that it's already been dispersed among them, hidden in everyday products. After another 13 deaths, Gotham's public begins to avoid cosmetics, fearing the Joker is Smilex. At Wayne Manor, Alfred gets a call from Vicky to let Bruce know she'll be late meeting him at the museum. The only problem is, Bruce was unaware of this meeting because it wasn't him who arranged it. It was the Joker. She arrives at the museum and receives a gift marked urgent. She puts on the protective mask as the place fills with gas, knocking out the other patrons. Then the Joker and his goons dance into the museum while vandalizing the art. He reaches Vicky and demands she tell him what she knows about Batman. And as he threatens her, the hero emerges. With the Batmobile's help, they mostly evade the Joker, but some of his goons catch up. Batman brings Vicky to safety, and she takes some photos as he brawls with the Joker's thugs. Then he brings Vicky back to the Batcave. There, he shows her what he's learned investigating the Joker. The madman has snuck Smilex into chemicals at the source, manufacturing plants, meaning it isn't just hidden in one product, but many. However, the drug only activates when combined. Hairspray alone won't do it. But hairspray mixed with lipstick and perfume will be toxic and untraceable. He tells her to take the evidence to the press, but she tells him that might be tough. Not everyone trusts Batman. "You're not exactly normal, are you?" she asks. "It's not exactly a normal world, is it?" he responds. Then he steals the film of photos she took of him and brings her home. When Vicky wakes, she speaks with Knox and gets the Gotham Globe to print Batman's story, warning the public of the specific products to avoid. Infuriated, Joker vows to Bob that he will kill Batman. Meanwhile, Bruce pays Vale a visit and brings flowers. She wastes no time telling Bruce how he hurt her, ignoring her calls and lying about leaving town. He tries to explain himself. He tries to find the words to tell her that he's Batman. But they're interrupted by the doorbell and the arrival of Joker. The Joker asks Bruce if he's ever danced with the devil by the pale moonlight, then shoots him and serenades Vicky before leaving. She returns to find Wayne gone, apparently having protected himself with a hidden metal plate. Vale returns to the Gotham Globe, where Knox has done some research on the street corner where Bruce left his roses. That's where Wayne's parents were murdered in front of him. Later, the mayor announces the cancellation of Gotham's upcoming bicentennial festival, since they can't guarantee safety. But Joker hijacks the airwaves to announce his own festival. At midnight, he will dump $20 million for the crowd, and there will be a show, a brawl between him and Gotham's real terror, Batman. Bruce watches the broadcast from his cave and thinks of the night his parents were killed. He remembers the killer saying something, "You ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?" and realizes the killer was Jack Napier, the Joker. Then Vicky arrives, invited by Alfred to see the truth. She confesses her love but doesn't know what to think of his double life. He tells her that it's something he needs to do, because no one else can. And he loves her too. But right now, the Joker is out there, and he's got to get to work. Batman drives to Axis Chemicals and blows it up. Then Joker kicks off his festival with a large clown float. His goons throw money to the crowds as Knox and Vicky arrive to report on Gotham's greed. As Joker wins over the crowd's favor, he activates the float to release Smilex into the crowd. Through her camera, Vicky spots the gas tanks and runs into her car for safety. Knox grabs a gas mask, and Gotham's citizens die with smiles on their faces. Batman flies in with his Batwing, grabs the Joker's balloons, and releases them high into the sky, rendering them harmless. "He stole my balloons!" Joker shouts, then shoots Bob. In the skies above Gotham, the Batwing flies in the pale moonlight, then returns fire at Joker and his army. But Joker takes him down with a large pistol. Vicky looks for Bruce in the wreckage, but all she finds is the Joker with his gun, and he takes her hostage. Joker brings her to the top of the cathedral, and Batman follows. Joker treats Vale to a dance, while Batman fights off his thugs. Then Vicky distracts Joker, while Batman asks, "Excuse me, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?" Then he punches the villain into a church bell. "I'm going to kill you," Batman promises. "You idiot," the Joker replies. "You made me, remember? You dropped me into that vat of chemicals. That wasn't easy to get over, and don't think that I didn't try." Batman hurts him and reminds him, "You killed my parents. I made you. You made me first." They fight, and Joker manages to knock Bruce and Vale onto the cathedral's ledge. They hang, while Joker is rescued by a hanging ladder from one of his helicopters, until Batman's grappling hook catches his leg, putting the Joker in the middle of a tug-of-war between a gargoyle and the copter. The heavy stone breaks off the cathedral and hangs off the Joker's leg. He does his best to hold on, but gravity wins, plummeting the villain to his death. Then Batman's grappling hook saves him and Vale from suffering the same fate. With Gotham now safe from the Joker's reign, Batman gives the city a signal should they need him again, and Gordon unveils it for the citizens, a searchlight which projects the Batman symbol on Gotham's night sky. Years earlier, a baby is born with an unusual disfigurement. His form terrifies the nurses, doctors, and anyone else who sees it. The Cobblepots bring their child home, but never show him love. Instead, he's kept in a cage. And one cold night in Gotham City, the parents abandon their boy in a river. The carriage floats on dark waters until it's found by 4 emperor penguins. 33 years later, as Christmas approaches, rumors spread of a penguin man living in Gotham's sewers. Meanwhile, renowned industrialist Max Schreck pitches the mayor on a new power plant, while his secretary, Selina Kyle, serves coffee. At the tree lighting ceremony, the mayor invites Max to speak, and he flawlessly plays the part of philanthropist. The proceedings are interrupted by a gift from the Penguin. A large gift box explodes, and like a circus from hell, clowns and costumed creeps pour out of it to attack the citizens. Their target is Schreck, but he evades their capture. At Commissioner Gordon's orders, the bat signal is lit, and Bruce Wayne answers the call. Batman arrives to fight the circus gang. He finds Selina held by one of the clowns and frees her, then leaves. "Well, that was very brief," Selina says to herself, "just like all the men in my life." As Schreck walks away from the chaos, he's finally captured and brought to the Penguin's lair, located in the Arctic world at an abandoned zoo. Penguin shows off his arsenal of weaponized umbrellas and makes his proposal. He's ready to ascend from the sewers and publicly reclaim his humanity. Why should Max help? Well, what Schreck disposes of, the Penguin finds. Toxic waste from Schreck's supposedly clean textile plant, shredded documents proving Schreck owns half the fire traps in Gotham City, and the corpse of an old business partner Schreck had killed. The Penguin sums it up. "Remember, Max, you flush it, I flaunt it." And the Penguin's blackmail does its job. Max agrees to help. At Schreck's office, Selina digs through some files to prepare her boss for an upcoming meeting with Bruce Wayne. But she makes the mistake of looking at some protected files, which prove that Schreck's power plant will not produce power, but will instead steal it from Gotham. To ensure the information doesn't leak, Schreck pushes her out of a window. Kyle lies unconscious in the snow until some alley cats wake her up. She returns to her apartment in a daze, then disposes of her old life as the lonely and downtrodden Selina Kyle. She trashes her apartment and claims her new identity by stitching together a costume of black latex and claws. On a bright day in Gotham, Penguin makes his debut. He has a member of his circus gang grab the mayor's baby so he can publicly rescue it and appear to save the day. "All I want in return," he tells the camera, "is a chance to find my mom and dad." Bruce watches the broadcast from home skeptically. Later, the Penguin gets his wish. He's given access to the Hall of Records to search through birth certificates and find his parents, and learn his real name. Though Bruce tells Alfred that he thinks Penguin knows who his parents are, he's up to something else in the Hall of Records. And as the public watches, Penguin announces his findings. His real name is Oswald Cobblepot, and his parents are deceased. And though they aren't alive to hear it, Oswald forgives them. The public's hearts are warmed by the story of reconciliation, and Oswald is revered as a hero. And that night, it's not only Oswald who makes his debut, but also Catwoman. Selina Kyle, disguised in skin-tight latex, prowls the streets and stops an assault. The next day, Shrek pitches Bruce on his power plant. But Bruce is rightfully skeptical and refuses to invest, accusing Shrek of working with a crime boss. Max scoffs at the accusation, saying Cobblepot is innocent. Then he's shocked when Selina Kyle shows up, alive, and Bruce is pleased to meet her. Later, Shrek pays Cobblepot a visit and lures him from his lair with raw fish. Penguin gnaws on the fresh snack as Shrek reveals a room full of people, staff he's gathered to run a mayoral race for Cobblepot. Oswald is skeptical of the idea and shows it, biting the nose of one staffer who comments on his appearance. But Oswald is won over by the promise of public adulation and the women he could have as mayor. Since elections have already passed, they'll need to get the current mayor ousted. So, Penguin will have his gang wreak havoc until the city demands a new leader to get crime under control. Gotham quickly falls into chaos as Batman fights the circus gang in its streets. In their battle, the gang's poodle manages to steal Batman's enhanced Batarang. Meanwhile, Catwoman pays Shrek's office building a visit and blows it up, then runs into Batman and attacks. In their fight, both walk away wounded. Catwoman with a burn on her arm, and Batman with one of her claws in his side. But the fight ends when Batman throws her off a building, though she's saved by an oncoming truck. The next day, Oswald Cobblepot announces his bid to run Gotham. The current mayor is failing to stop the crime wave, but Cobblepot promises he could bring it to an end. After the announcement, he finds Catwoman waiting in his hideout. She proposes an alliance to remove the thorn in both their sides, Batman. Penguin wants to kill him, but Catwoman wants to ruin him first, to frame him as a villain, and Cobblepot agrees. The next day, Cobblepot publicly announces a challenge to the mayor: relight Gotham's Christmas tree tonight, adding, "I hope and pray that Batman will be present to preserve the peace." And at home, Bruce Wayne watches. As the relighting ceremony approaches, Bruce bumps into Selina, though he doesn't know she's Catwoman, and she doesn't know he's Batman. He invites her over for dinner, and they part. Meanwhile, Penguin kidnaps Gotham's Ice Princess, who is meant to light the tree at the ceremony, and he attacks her with the Batarang to frame Batman for the kidnapping. At Wayne Manor, Bruce and Selina talk. She asks about past girlfriends, and he tells her about Vicky, how it didn't work out because she had trouble reconciling his two truths, because he had trouble reconciling them. Then they make out, while Bruce protects his side scratched by Catwoman, and Selina protects her arm burned by Batman. They're interrupted by a news report that the Ice Princess was kidnapped, and Batman's Batarang was found stained with blood, pointing to him as a suspect. Both frantically excuse themselves and leave. Batman arrives at the relighting ceremony and parks his Batmobile. He turns on the usual protections, but while he looks for the Ice Princess, Penguin's goons break into the car. Batman finds the princess, but Catwoman stops him from rescuing her, then drags the Ice Princess to the building's roof and leaves her on a ledge. Before Batman reaches her, Penguin releases a cauldron of bats to push her off the roof. She falls to her death, and when the citizens of Gotham look up, they see Batman and accuse him of pushing her. Police fire on him, and Batman falls to a terrace, where Catwoman finds him and straddles him. Batman notices a mistletoe and says, "Mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it." She responds, "But a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it," and licks Batman's face like a cat. Batman escapes her grasp and leaves. Then Catwoman argues with Penguin. She thought they were just going to scare the princess. Murder was not part of the plan. But Penguin is happy with how things went and suggests they consummate their partnership. When she rejects his advances, he retaliates by strapping her to a flying umbrella, but she quickly frees herself and lands safely. Batman returns to the Batmobile, unaware it's been wired for Penguin to control remotely. Penguin plows the car through citizens and traffic, while Bruce struggles to take control. During the chaos, Penguin speaks to Batman through a video feed, ranting about how he deceived Gotham. Eventually, Batman locates and removes the Penguin's device. Batman survives the night, but the Penguin's plan was a success. The next day, Batman's reputation is in tatters, and citizens demand Cobblepot take over as mayor. As Cobblepot addresses the public, Bruce remotely jams his frequency and over the speakers plays recordings from the previous night. Penguin's rantings to Batman, proving him a crook. The crowd turns on Cobblepot, pelting him with eggs and tomatoes. And as Shrek turns his back on the disgraced mayoral candidate, Cobblepot runs off and returns to his Penguin sanctuary. Then he reveals to his circus gang what he was really up to at the Hall of Records. He collected the names of every firstborn son in Gotham, like he was, and like him, a terrible fate awaits them. While their parents party at Shrek's annual masquerade ball, Penguin's gang will pay their homes a visit, kidnap their sons, and kill them all. At the party, Bruce and Selina dance. He admits he only came to the party to see her, and she admits she only came to kill Max. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Bruce asks. "I don't know anymore, Bruce," she answers. And they kiss, before she notices they're under a mistletoe, and adds, "You know, mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it." Bruce replies, "But a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it." And suddenly, they know each other's true identities. The party is interrupted when Penguin explodes through the floor. He tells the crowd that his goons are coming for their children. Then he takes Shrek and heads back for the sewers, where he holds the man hostage. Above ground, the circus gang loads infants and toddlers onto caged train cars, until the Batman appears. The train returns to Penguin with no children, only his monkey helper with a note from Batman. "Dear Penguin, the children regret they're unable to attend." An infuriated Penguin gives a roaring speech to his army of weaponized, mind-controlled penguins, and sends them to destroy Gotham. With missile torpedoes strapped to their backs, the flightless birds waddle into the city streets. Meanwhile, Batman heads toward Penguin's lair in his bat boat, and with Alfred's help, takes control of the bird army, jamming Penguin's signal and sending them back the way they came. Then, the hero and villain face each other in a standoff, surrounded by Penguin's army. But Batman has his own army. A torrent of bats surround Penguin and send him tumbling through the observation window, crashing him into the cold water of his Arctic lair. Meanwhile, the Penguin army's missiles launch in Penguin's backyard rather than Gotham Plaza as intended. Underground, Shrek frees himself, only to face Catwoman and her whip. Before she can kill him, Batman swings in to stop her, hoping to send Max to a jail rather than a grave. "Why do this?" Batman asks, approaching the cautious cat. "Let's just take him to the police, then we can go home together." Tears fill her eyes, and Batman adds, "Selina, don't you see? We're the same." He removes his mask and continues, "Selina, please." But she refuses. Max has to die. Though Max has other ideas. Max shoots Batman, then Catwoman, 4 times. Between her prior deaths at the hands of Max, Penguin, and Batman, and these 4 shots, that leaves her with 2 of her 9 lives left. And she uses 1 to kill herself and Max, kissing him with a taser between their lips and grabbing a live wire. Batman digs through the wreckage, but only finds Max Shrek's smoldering corpse. No Selina. Behind him, Penguin shambles out of the water to make his last stand. But with little life remaining, he only manages to grab a useless umbrella and fall dead. Batman watches the Penguins drag their caretaker's body into an ice water grave. On the drive home, Bruce thinks he spots Selina, but only finds a black cat. He takes it home with him as he and Alfred wish each other a Merry Christmas. And above them, unseen, Catwoman watches over Gotham. Time passes and a new threat emerges. District Attorney Harvey Dent has become the villain, Two-Face. Scarred on one half of his body and still Harvey on the other, he lives by the chaotic law of chance. Robbing a bank, should he spare the life of the hostage? The decision is made by flipping a coin, one side smooth and the other scarred like him. The coin lands on the clean side, so the man lives. Batman arrives on the scene where Commissioner Gordon introduces him to Dr. Chase Meridian, a doctor specializing in abnormal psychology. She's there to consult on Two-Face, but is fascinated by Batman. They agree the villain cannot be reasoned with, so Batman goes after him. He saves the hostage and thwarts the crime, but Two-Face escapes. At Wayne Enterprises, Bruce meets Edward Nygma, an unhinged employee who idolizes him. Nygma shows Bruce his latest work, a device which beams TV signals into the human brain. Bruce notices the bat signal calling him from outside, so he cordially ends the visit, telling Ed that manipulating brainwaves is too dangerous. He'll have to hold off for now. "You were supposed to understand," Ed says to himself. "I'll make you understand." Bruce heads to the Batcave, suits up, and reaches the bat signal to find Dr. Chase Meridian, looking for romance. Batman resists her advances, and when Gordon shows up in his pajamas, Batman takes off. At Wayne Enterprises, Nygma experiments on his first human subject, knocking his supervisor unconscious and strapping him into the device. The experiment is a success, treating Stickley to 3D images of fish, though it has a curious side effect. It transfers the power of Stickley's mind into Nygma's. When Stickley threatens to fire Nygma, the madman kills him. Elsewhere, Bruce watches a report on Two-Face. Boss Maroney threw acid on Harvey Dent, and the left brain damage turned him into a violent criminal. Bruce learns of Stickley's death and joins Gordon in the investigation. However, Nygma's forged a suicide note and footage to back it up. Gordon falls for it, while Bruce remains skeptical. Then, he finds an envelope with a large question mark, and in it, a riddle. "If you look at the numbers on my face, you won't find 13 anyplace." The answer is a clock, Bruce observes. Later, Nygma leaves another envelope at the entrance to Wayne Manor. The next day, Bruce visits Dr. Meridian for her expert opinion on the letters. The second one says, "Tear one off and scratch my head. What once was red is black instead." The first riddle's answer was clock, and this one's answer is a match. Her assessment is that the writer is obsessed with Bruce, and will likely attempt to purge his fixation by killing him. Before leaving, Bruce observes they're almost out of time, and he really needs to get her out of those clothes and into a black dress to join him at the charity circus, a major event for Gotham. At the circus, they're treated to an impressive performance from a family of performers, the Flying Graysons. The performance is interrupted by Two-Face and his henchmen. They light a bomb and threaten to blow it up, unless Batman steps forward to reveal his true identity. Without a moment's hesitation, Bruce shouts, "Harvey, I'm Batman!" But his voice is drowned in a sea of terrified shouts from the crowd. Instead, Bruce runs off to fight Two-Face and his men. While above him, the Graysons work on getting rid of the bomb. Dick Grayson does exactly that by throwing it into the bay, while Harvey shoots out the wires, sending Dick's mother, father, and brother plummeting to their deaths. The boy is orphaned, just as Bruce was so many years earlier. Feeling for the boy's plight, Bruce invites Dick to stay at Wayne Manor. Dick is hesitant at first, but is coaxed to stay by Bruce's motorcycle collection and Alfred's culinary skills. That night, Bruce is called away by the bat signal, giving Alfred and Grayson a chance to talk. The butler notices a robin on the boy's helmet. Grayson tells him how one time his brother's wire broke, and he swung out to grab him. "My father said I was his hero," he says. "I flew in like a robin." He doesn't feel like a hero anymore, and doubts he'll ever get back to gymnastics. But Alfred reminds him that broken wings mend in time. One day Robin will fly again. I promise. On the streets of Gotham, Batman faces Harvey, but once again fails to capture the villain. Meanwhile, in a dark corner of the city, Edward Nygma decides on a new name for his new villainous persona, the Riddler. Then he pays Two-Face a visit, whom he finds joined by henchwomen Sugar and Spice. Riddler suggests they team up to humiliate and kill Batman together, and he shows off his device, how it acquires information from people's minds while making you smarter. If Two-Face steals the necessary production capital, they could install the device on every TV in Gotham and solve the greatest riddle of all: who is Batman? Two-Face considers the proposal, and his coin tells him to accept. At Wayne Manor, Bruce finds another riddle. The 8 of us go forth not back, to protect our king from a foe's attack. Chess pawns, Bruce observes. After acquiring enough funds, Nygma debuts his product, the box, and it quickly becomes all the rage in Gotham, sending a steady stream of the brainwaves directly to Nygma. One day, while practicing gymnastics, Grayson inadvertently kicks open the secret entrance to the Batcave, revealing Wayne's true identity. Meanwhile, Bruce opens up to Chase, telling her about witnessing his parents' death. He's begun to remember a repressed memory, something involving a red book. And although she doesn't know he's Batman, she's drawn to him in the same way. They kiss, until they're interrupted by a call from Alfred, letting Bruce know about Dick's discovery. Meanwhile, Grayson takes the Batmobile joyriding, and on the streets of Gotham witnesses an assault in progress. He fights off the thugs and saves the girl, though more of the gang join in, and when he's cornered, Batman comes to the rescue. Back at the cave, Dick talks about his desire to find Two-Face and kill him for what he did to his family. "So you're willing to take a life?" Bruce asks. "Then it will happen this way. You make the kill, but your pain doesn't die with Harvey, it grows. So you run into the night to find another face, and another, until one terrible morning you wake up and realize that revenge has become your whole life, and you won't know why." Bruce tells him how he lost his parents, how they are the same. "If we're the same, Bruce, help me," Dick says. "Train me, let me be your partner." But Bruce refuses, unwilling to set the boy down the same path as him. That night, they attend Nygma's gala, where he debuts a new version of the box. Before entering the box himself, Bruce asks Sugar to turn it off, but once he's inside, she turns it back on. Then, Two-Face and his goons crash the gala, seeking to rob its wealthy attendants. He's apparently grown impatient and sought to draw Batman out sooner with a little murder and mayhem. Bruce runs out to change and returns as Batman. He fights Two-Face's army while Dick runs outside, and Alfred sneaks him his old circus outfit. In the midst of battle, Chase kisses Batman and tells him, "My place, midnight." Batman continues his fight, and Two-Face manages to trap him under debris, until Dick comes to the rescue. Back at the cave, Bruce chides him, but Dick insists he'll continue to help. After he leaves, Alfred suggests Bruce pay Chase a visit. A little love might do him some good. And at her window, Chase finds Batman, but suddenly realizes it's not Batman she wants, but Bruce Wayne. "I understand," Batman says, then turns, smiles to himself, and leaves. Elsewhere, Riddler shows Two-Face what he found in his extraction from Bruce Wayne's brain, that Bruce Wayne is Batman. After Bruce's refusal to include Dick in his heroics, the boy goes on the run, while Bruce prepares for Chase to visit and plans on telling her who he really is. When they talk, she knocks over a flower, triggering Bruce's repressed memory. He tells her what he recalls: a red book, his father's journal. The pain of knowing his father would never write in that journal again sent Bruce running, and he fell into a cave, where he saw a bat, his destiny. She kisses him, and knows that she is kissing Batman. Then Riddler and Two-Face arrive with their gang. They burn down the Batcave, knock Bruce unconscious, and kidnap Chase. Bruce wakes to find another riddle. We are 5 little items of an everyday sort. You'll find us all in a tennis court. Vowels, Bruce realizes. A-E-I-O-U. All letters found in the phrase a tennis court. Then he and Alfred realize that this and each of the previous riddles referenced a number: 13, 1, 8, and 5. If each represented a letter, 13 would be M, 1 and 8 taken as 18 would be R, and 5 would be E, M-R-E, or Mr. E, as in mystery. Another word for which is enigma, as in Edward Nigma. He grabs the one bat suit which survived the fire, and before he leaves, Dick returns with a new suit created by Alfred, and a name too: Robin. Bruce accepts the partnership, and each takes a vehicle in pursuit of their enemy, Batman by air and Robin by sea. They approach Nigma's lair, and as they land on its coast, Robin remarks, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." "Huh?" Batman asks. "The ground," Robin explains. "It's all metal. It's full of holes, you know. Holy." "Oh," Batman responds. Suddenly, the island rises high in the air, and Batman gets inside while Robin finds Two-Face. He beats the villain in revenge, but decides to spare his life, giving Harvey a chance to pull a gun and point it in Robin's face. Inside, Batman finds the Riddler, who is soon joined by Harvey. Then they reveal 2 hostages, Dr. Chase Meridian on one side and Dick Grayson on the other. Batman will only have time to save one, so who will he choose? But the Riddler has underestimated Batman. The hero throws a batarang into the villain's machine, reversing the flow of brainwaves. As Riddler's mind loses its recently acquired IQ, he flips the switch to drop the hostages. But Batman is quick. With the help of his grappling hook, he saves both their lives. Then Two-Face appears and prepares to kill them, but Batman stops him. What about the coin? Two-Face thanks him for the reminder, and as Two-Face tosses it, Batman throws dozens more. Shaken by the confusion, Two-Face falls, and Harvey plummets to his death. After the chaos, Nigma ends up in a padded cell at Arkham, his mind too far gone to retain the knowledge of Batman's true identity. With his secret safe, Bruce kisses Dr. Chase Meridian. Not only does Bruce have a new partner, but so too does Batman, as he runs into the night with Robin at his side. Time passes, and Robin grows jealous of Batman's car. He wants one too. Chicks dig the car. This is why Superman works alone. Batman scoffs, and they head off to patrol Gotham. As his friends leave, Alfred feels unwell. The heroes head to the Gotham Museum, where a frozen foe named Mr. Freeze has frozen Gotham's finest, turning the guards into ice blocks. Batman and Robin arrive to find hell's frozen over, and apparently Satan plays hockey. They fight Mr. Freeze and his ice-skating henchmen, but the villain manages to catch Robin with his ice ray, leaving Batman with a choice: chase the villain or save the boy. But bats and robins are birds of a feather. Freeze leaves with a stolen crystal, while Batman thaws Robin. And in the world of ice-cold men, man-sized bats, and vicious robins, what chance do plants have? More than a snowball in hell, if Dr. Pamela Isley has anything to say about it. At a Wayne Enterprise lab in Brazil, she experiments on crossbreeding plants with animals so they can fight against mankind's destruction of nature. Meanwhile, her boss, Dr. Jason Woodrue, experiments on people, injecting his super soldier serum, Venom, into scrawny serial killer Antonio Diego. The substance turns him into a hulking mass, whom the doctor names Bane. Isley witnesses the experiment. She's disgusted by his corruption of her work, developing Venom off her research. She rejects his plea for a partnership, and he retaliates, attempting to kill her, feeding her to the mess of the plant-based poisons and toxins of her lab. In the Batcave, Wayne and Grayson review footage of Mr. Freeze's origin story. When Dr. Victor Freeze's wife suffered a terminal illness, he tried to freeze her until a cure could be found. But he fell into the vat himself, and the cryo solution mutated his body. Now, Freeze needs extreme cold to survive. His cryosuit uses diamond-enhanced lasers to keep him at 0 degrees. After Robin's screw-up, getting turned into ice, Batman orders him to train for 10 hours, and Alfred advises that Bruce needs to learn how to trust Grayson. That's the basis of family. After all, Alfred won't be around forever. In Brazil, Isley returns to life as a part-plant person with poison lips. One kiss later, and Dr. Woodrue is dead at her feet. Then she recruits Bane in her battle to reclaim the Earth for plants. In Gotham, Freeze's new crystal brings him one step closer to fulfilling his vision. One more diamond of that size, and he'll have enough power to freeze the city until Gotham gives him what he wants, the billions of dollars needed to find a cure for his wife. At Wayne Manor, a surprise guest arrives, Alfred's niece, Barbara. Like Bruce and Dick, she too is an orphan, having lost both parents in a car accident 5 years earlier. Currently, she's on break from Oxford Academy, where she studies computer science. They invite her to stay over, which makes Dick very happy. The next day, Bruce holds a press conference at the Gotham Observatory, where he donates a new telescope. The proceedings are interrupted by Dr. Isley, demanding Bruce agree to her proposal, which would save the planet from humankind. "Your intentions are noble," he says, "but no diesel fuel for heat, no coolants to preserve food, millions of people would die from cold and hunger alone." And he offers the disappointed doctor an invite to his Save the Rainforest party, where Batman and Robin will be guests, and a diamond will be auctioned to raise funds. A diamond Bruce is offering as bait to draw out Freeze. But at the party, Isley gets there first. She entrances the crowd with pheromone dust and introduces herself as Poison Ivy. It works on Batman and Robin too, who both find themselves in love with the villain. She grabs the diamond, then puts it and herself up for auction. The two heroes clash in a bidding war, though Robin can hardly keep up with the unlimited funds offered by the Bat credit card. Freeze arrives, falling for Batman's bait. While the heroes fight his goons, Freeze gets to Ivy and demands the diamond. She tries her dust, but it's useless on his cold heart. He grabs the diamond and escapes. Batman and Robin chase the villain across Gotham, and as they approach a dangerous ledge, Batman warns Robin he can't make the jump. When Robin ignores the warning, Batman disables his engine and catches Freeze himself. At the Batcave, Robin tells Batman that he's sick of his lack of trust. It doesn't feel like they're partners. At Arkham Asylum, Freeze is kept in a small, cold area outside of which he cannot survive. Elsewhere, Ivy and Bane find a new lair and rid it of its current tenants. Then Ivy redecorates. At Wayne Manor, Bruce suffers the lingering effects of Ivy's love dust, fantasizing about her while ignoring his girlfriend, Julie. Meanwhile, Barbara sneaks out for some underground motorcycle racing, but her opponents play dirty and try to throw her from a bridge. Thankfully, Dick followed her and saves her from falling. Back home, she talks about why she started racing. It helped make the pain go away after her parents died. "You wouldn't understand," she says. "You'd be surprised," he replies. Then she confesses that she was kicked out of school, but it's okay. She's already made plenty of money racing, and plans on using it to rescue Alfred from his dismal life of servitude. "He's sick," she reveals. Then Bruce clarifies. Alfred is not just sick, he's dying. Alfred's kept it a secret, but Bruce can tell. At Arkham, with the help of her poison kiss and muscled henchmen, she frees Freeze and returns him his suit. Batman wonders why she'd help Freeze. "Well, she's definitely evil," Robin suggests, and both agree they're definitely not still in love with her. At Freeze's hideout, they find his wife and check his research. Apparently, he was able to cure some forms of McGregor syndrome, but not one as severe as his wife's case. Then they're attacked by Ivy and Bane. While they busy the heroes, Freeze retrieves his crystals to regain the power he lost while he was locked up. In the throes of the fight, Ivy's dust does its work. She nearly locks Robin in a kiss, but Batman stops it. Hearing of toxins found in prior deaths, he's realized her kiss must be deadly. Robin accuses Batman of being jealous, and the two fight as Ivy and Bane wander off. Then Robin announces he's going solo. He doesn't need Batman. And Ivy, jealous of Freeze's wife, deactivates the machine which keeps her alive, then grabs her necklace to show Freeze, blaming his wife's death on Batman, claiming he's the one who deactivated the machine. Victor's tears freeze on his cheek. He vows revenge on Batman and Robin. And why stop there, Ivy suggests. Why not kill all of humanity? Then her animal-plant hybrids can take over, with them as the only two people left alive. Adam and evil, Freeze agrees. At Wayne Manor, a doctor visits and diagnoses Alfred's McGregor syndrome, the same thing Freeze's wife had, but a less severe case, one that could be cured if they got a hold of Freeze's research. Bruce intends to go after Freeze and Ivy alone, as Robin's judgment is still clouded by his love for the villain, again accusing Batman of just being jealous of him. As Alfred lies on his deathbed, he hands Barbara a CD containing a secret message and asks her to ensure it gets to his brother Wilfred. So she guesses the password and looks at the message, revealing Batman and Robin's identities, something Alfred intended to reveal to Wilfred, who he hoped would take over his post. That night, Ivy uses her dust on Commissioner Gordon to get access to the bat signal. She modifies it to look like Robin's symbol and uses it to call him. So Robin sets off for the signal while Bruce tries to set him straight. She's infected us with some kind of pheromone extract. She wants to kill you, dick. Then Bruce calls him brother and asks him to trust family. Meanwhile, Freeze breaks into Gotham Observatory, where he intends to combine Wayne's telescope with his own tech to freeze the city. At the Batcave, Barbara tells Alfred's brain algorithm that she wants to help Batman and Robin. Fortunately, he knew this day would come and already prepared a suit for her. Robin arrives at the Robin signal to meet Ivy, and in exchange for a kiss, she reveals Freeze's plan. But Ivy is disappointed to learn her kiss doesn't work on rubber lips. She throws Robin away. Then his backup arrives. But Batman's taken out by some vines. Then his backup's backup arrives, Barbara. She defeats Ivy, feeding her to her own overgrown Venus flytrap. Batman recovers and meets the new hero, asking, "And you are?" "Batgirl," she replies. "That's not awfully PC," he points out. "What about Batperson or Batwoman?" Freeze begins his process. "Let's kick some ice," he says to himself. And as Gotham freezes, the two Bats and a Robin head to the observatory. There, they can realign satellites which communicate with the telescope to reflect the sun's rays at Gotham and thaw the city. They get to work, until Freeze and Bane show up. But they're no match for the heroes. Robin kicks out Bane's tube, and he deflates. Meanwhile, Batman overpowers Freeze and gets the satellites positioned to thaw Gotham. "Freeze in hell, Batman!" Freeze yells as he blows up the observatory. The heroes evade the explosion and return to the observatory. With the targeting mirrors destroyed, it'll take a genius to align the satellites properly. Thankfully, they've got at least two of those. Batgirl and Robin get to work, and the city is saved. Batman finds Freeze and tells him they managed to save his wife, despite Ivy's attempt to kill her. She still needs a cure, but she's back in stasis, waiting for Victor. Then Batman reminds Freeze of his old life, as a doctor who saved lives, and asks him to save one more. The doctor answers by handing Batman the cure he needs to save Alfred. Then Victor heads to Arkham Asylum and meets his new cellmate, Poison Ivy. A new day dawns at Wayne Manor. Alfred wakes up from his deathbed cured, and three heroes run into the night, in search of more evil to vanquish. In another world, there is another Bruce Wayne, yet to wear the cape and cowl. At a young age, Bruce Wayne learns about fear. Playing with his friend Rachel, he falls down a dry well and finds himself in a swarm of bats. His father rescues him and tells him why we fall, so we can learn to pick ourselves up. From that day on, the bats are a mainstay in his nightmares, and not long after that, he learns about loss. His parents take him to the opera, and then the bats show up. He begs them to take him home, and they listen, but they never make it. A mugger, Joe Chill, gets nervous and pulls the trigger, killing Gotham's wealthy philanthropists, Thomas and Martha Wayne, At Gotham PD, Officer Jim Gordon comforts the young Bruce and offers him a coat. Then he's left in the care of his family's trusted butler, Alfred Pennyworth. Years later, Chill strikes a deal with the DA. He testifies against crime boss Carmine Falcone in exchange for early release. But Bruce cannot abide his parents' killer going free. So years after leaving Gotham, he returns with revenge on his mind. He conceals a gun, and as Joe steps out of the courthouse, one of Carmine's people gets to him first. Bruce watches the assassination and watches Joe Chill die as his chance for revenge is stolen away. His childhood friend Rachel works for the DA and bemoans the lost opportunity for Chill's testimony. Bruce offers that maybe he deserved death, then shows Rachel the gun. She's disgusted. "Your father would have been ashamed of you," she says, and shows him Gotham's hidden underbelly, where Falcone keeps the lower class pumped full of crime and drugs, preying on their desperation. Taking Falcone down is the only way to save Gotham and fulfill the vision once held by Thomas and Martha Wayne. That is far more important than Bruce's selfish need for revenge. So Bruce pays Falcone a visit to prove he isn't afraid, and the crime boss sets him straight. Falcone's got Gotham's wealthy and powerful in his pocket. He could kill Bruce without consequence, and if Bruce doesn't care about his own life, Carmine reminds him that he could kill Alfred or his friend Rachel. He reminds Bruce that he doesn't know his world. Bruce has never seen the ugly side of life and never tasted desperate. So Bruce leaves Gotham to find it. He strips himself of everything and travels thousands of miles to find a world where no one knows his name. After years of learning desperation and learning to fight, Bruce is found at a prison in Bhutan by the League of Shadows, led by Ra's al Ghul. They promise to give Bruce the purpose he's looking for and the ability to enact the justice denied to his parents. Ra's al Ghul's second hand, Ducard, trains Bruce to become a powerful fighter. Where Bruce has learned to fight 6 men, Ducard trains him to fight 600, with the agility, patience, and cunning of a ninja. And Ducard teaches him the power of fear. He has Bruce breathe in the toxins of an exotic flower, inflicting him with panic and nightmarish visions. If Bruce can confront his own fear and learn to inflict it on his enemies, he can cloud their senses and defeat them easily. Ra's al Ghul is impressed with Bruce's ability to fight through the flower's effects and invites him to formally join the League of Shadows. But first, Ducard says, you must demonstrate your commitment to justice. They hand Bruce a sword and demand he execute a prisoner, but Bruce refuses. The man should be tried by a justice system, not killed by their decree. Ra's insists he proceed. Then Bruce can join them for their next project, the destruction of Gotham. The city is beyond saving and must be put out of its misery. But Bruce is no executioner. He will fight crime, but not by killing, and he will not let them destroy Gotham. He fights off Ra's al Ghul, Ducard, and the League of Shadows. Falling debris kills Ra's and nearly kills Ducard, but Bruce saves the man's life. Then he returns home to show the people of Gotham that their city does not belong to the criminal and corrupt. He tells Alfred of his intent to become an incorruptible and everlasting symbol to shake people out of their apathy. Meanwhile, Rachel Dawes fights her own battle against Dr. Crane, a doctor who saves Falcone's men from prison by having them declared insane. When Rachel accuses the doctor of corruption, he lets Falcone know about it, and Falcone promises to take care of Rachel. At Wayne Enterprises, the head of the board, William Earl, announces that despite Thomas Wayne's ideals, they will take the company public and move toward weapons manufacturing. The meeting is interrupted by a man the world thought dead, Bruce Wayne. He asks for a job in applied sciences, where he meets its head, Lucius Fox. Fox explains how his department is a place the board sent him to toil away on prototypes that go nowhere, to keep him busy and out of their way. He shows Bruce the body armor, grappling hook, and other utilities he's built, while telling him about Thomas Wayne. Together, they built a train that went all over Gotham, providing the public with cheap transportation. Elsewhere, corrupt Officer Flass offers Jim Gordon a cut from his latest bribe, and as always, Gordon refuses. Back in his office, a disguised Bruce pays Gordon a visit and asks him why no one stops Carmine Falcone. Gordon answers that Falcone bribed all the right people. To take him down, they'd need leverage on Judge Faden. After their conversation, Bruce disappears, but takes a tumble when he leaps from the roof. So, he asks Fox for something to help with base jumping, and he offers an advanced fabric resembling a cape. Then shows Bruce the tumbler, and he takes the military-grade vehicle for a test drive. With Alfred's help, he customizes the suit and utilities to symbolize bats. He debuts his new symbol by crashing the latest drug shipment, supervised by Falcone and Flass. He attacks their men from the shadows, and while the frightened men battle their unseen foe, Falcone cowers in his car. "What the hell are you?" he asks. Bruce rips him out of the car and answers, "I'm Batman." Then he foils an assassination attempt on Rachel and leaves her with incriminating photos, leverage on Judge Faden. Later, Jim Gordon and his officers find Falcone unconscious, strapped to a floodlight, projecting something resembling Batman's symbol onto Gotham's night sky. Between Falcone at the crime scene and the photos, the DA have everything they need to put the crime boss behind bars. Meanwhile, William Earl learns some disturbing news. One of their prototypes was stolen, the microwave emitter, a powerful weapon meant to vaporize an enemy's water supply. Later, Bruce acts the part of billionaire playboy as cover for his new life as a vigilante, and bumps into Rachel, who scoffs at his seeming indifference to Gotham's plight. But he promises that inside, he is more than he appears. But she's unimpressed, saying, "It's not who you are underneath, it's what you do that defines you." Elsewhere, Dr. Crane visits Falcone to ensure he won't talk about who Crane really works for, or what they're really planning. Crane releases a toxin that induces nightmarish hallucinations, then dons a scarecrow mask, terrifying the drugged Falcone. That night, Batman pays Gordon a visit, letting him know what he saw at the docks. The drugs were split, half for the dealers and half for something else. To figure out what, Batman pays Gordon's partner Flass a visit. After some intimidation, Flass shares what little he knows. The drugs were laced with something different, and they were sent somewhere for a couple of days before going to the dealers. Somewhere in the Narrows. And in the Narrows, Batman finds Crane. Batman strikes, but ends up poisoned by the Scarecrow's toxins and set on fire while suffering the drug's nightmarish visions. He leaps from the building and puts out the fire in rainwater. Then, between visions of his childhood grief and bats, he calls Alfred for help. Bruce wakes up 2 days later on his birthday. Alfred cares for him, and Fox reveals he was able to synthesize an antidote for the toxin. Then, while preparing for his birthday celebration, Bruce learns that Rachel is heading to Arkham Asylum. Falcone was transferred there after Crane's intervention. Fearing for her safety, Bruce suits up. Meanwhile, Earl visits Fox to ask for everything he has on the microwave emitter, and when Fox asks too many questions, Earl fires him. At Arkham, Rachel demands answers about what happened to Falcone, and Crane brings her to the basement, where his people pour the toxin into Gotham's water supply. Then, he dons his mask and poisons her. Just then, Batman appears. He fights off the Scarecrow's men, then gives Crane a taste of his own medicine. Through the doctor's hallucinations, Batman questions him and learns who he really works for, Ra's al Ghul. The police come for Batman, so he pulls Gordon aside to tell him what he's seen. Crane has smuggled a panic-inducing toxin into Gotham and dumped it into the water supply. With the heavy dose Rachel took, her mind will soon be destroyed permanently. So Bruce activates a device, which emits a certain frequency, attracting a certain creature. A swarm of bats arrive, giving him the distraction he needs to escape with Rachel. He evades the police using the tumbler, and at the cave under Wayne Manor, administers the antidote. When Rachel wakes, Batman hands her more of the antidote so she can bring it to Jim Gordon, the one cop they can trust. Meanwhile, Gordon learns that Gotham's entire water supply has been infected with the toxin. The only reason they haven't felt its effects is because drinking it won't harm you. It must be absorbed through the lungs. At Wayne Manor, Bruce administers a sedative to Rachel so Alfred can bring her home without giving up his identity. Then he joins his birthday party in progress. He thanks Fox for the antidote and asks how long it would take to make it at a large scale. Weeks. Why? Lucius asks. Somebody's planning to disperse the toxin using the water supply, Bruce answers. Fox shakes his head. The water supply won't help you disperse an inhalant. Then he realizes that the stolen microwave emitter could vaporize all the water in the mains, which would disperse the inhalant. Bruce asks Fox to make as much of the antidote as he can, then sees a familiar guest at his party, Ducard, who quickly reveals that the man who died was a cover. Ducard is the true Ra's al Ghul. Worrying for his guest's safety, Bruce feigns drunk and demands they all leave. Then Ross fills in a few details of their plan. Crane weaponized the compound found in their exotic flower. Ross intends to flood Gotham with it and watch the city tear itself apart through fear. The League of Shadows has been a check against human corruption for thousands of years, he explains. We sacked Rome, loaded trade ships with plague rats, burned London to the ground. Every time a civilization reaches the pinnacle of its decadence, we return to restore the balance. Gotham isn't beyond saving, Bruce pleads. Give me more time. There are good people here. Ross answers by having his men burn Wayne Manor to the ground, then continues, explaining how the League tried destroying Gotham once before, through economics, but they didn't count on Thomas and Martha Wayne keeping the city afloat. This time, Ross promises, no misguided idealists will get in the way. They fight, but falling debris knocks Bruce unconscious. Ross leaves him as Wayne Manor burns around him, and elsewhere, Ra's al Ghul's men free Gotham's prisoners. Alfred finds Bruce and helps him get underground. Bruce is bleeding badly and bemoaning his failure, until Alfred reminds him of his father's words. Why do we fall, sir? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up. Among the chaos of convicts roaming in Gotham, Rachel finds Gordon and hands him the antidote. Moments later, the microwave emitter is activated. Gordon takes the antidote, and his mind remains clear as the city falls into chaos around him. Under Wayne Manor, Bruce suits up and leaves in the tumbler. He finds Gordon and explains that for now, the toxin is isolated in the Narrows. But Ross plans on transporting the device by train to Wayne Tower in the center of the city, where a chain reaction would vaporize the rest of Gotham's water supply. Batman promises to stop it, but asks for Gordon's help, handing him the keys to the tumbler. Before heading after the train, he rescues Rachel and a small child from approaching danger. Then, as Batman leaves, she asks him to wait. You could die, she says. At least tell me your name. It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me, he answers, echoing the words she said to Bruce. Bruce? She asks, and he flies off. Batman fights through Ra's al Ghul's thugs to face the man himself on the train hurtling toward Wayne Tower. The two brawl, while Gordon uses the tumbler to take out a portion of the bridge, so it no longer connects to the tower. When Ross sees the train will crash, he asks Bruce, "Have you finally learned to do what is necessary?" "I won't kill you," Bruce answers, "but I don't have to save you." Batman leaps from the train car, and it crashes, exploding as the microwave emitter is destroyed. And Gotham is saved. The next day, Bruce reveals to William Earl that although Wayne Enterprises went public, Bruce himself bought most of the shares, and as its new majority owner, he's putting Lucius Fox in charge, firing William. Later, in the rubble of Wayne Manor, Bruce thanks Rachel for teaching him how justice is about more than revenge, and they kiss. But they cannot be together. The man Rachel loved left Gotham and returned as Batman. Bruce is gone. But if the day comes when Gotham no longer needs Batman, maybe they can one day be together. Bruce nods in silent understanding, and she tells him that his father would be proud. Then he prepares to rebuild. Gordon installs a bat symbol on a floodlight to create the bat signal. He uses it to call for Batman and tells him that thanks to his work, the city is in a more hopeful place. But Batman's antics have also given way to escalation. Villains have responded to his theatrics with their own, like this new guy, the Joker. The Joker begins his rise in Gotham's underworld by robbing the bank where the mob keeps their money. He has each of his men kill the other so he can leave with the full share of cash. And it's not just villains Batman's inspired, but other vigilantes too. When he busts Scarecrow for dealing drugs, he also contends with copycats, wearing bat masks and hockey pads. At the scene of Joker's crime, Gordon and Batman meet to decide their next move. The bank Joker robbed is one of 5 they've identified as working with the mob. Now that they've been identified, it's time to make some arrests. But busting all 5 banks will require a lot of backup, meaning the new district attorney will be involved. Bruce investigates the new DA to see if he can be trusted. His name is Harvey Dent, and he's currently dating Rachel. In court, Harvey flips a coin to decide who will lead their hearing, him or Rachel. As always, somehow, the coin flip goes his way. He takes the lead, asking the witness to confirm Salvatore Maroni is the new head of the Falcone crime family, now that Carmine is at Arkham. But the witness refuses and instead tries to shoot the DA. When the gun fails, Harvey disarms it and inspects the firearm. Carbon fiber, .28 caliber, made in China, he says. If you want to kill a public servant, Mr. Maroni, I recommend you buy American. Dent continues the hearing and the courtroom applauds Gotham's White Knight. Afterward, he meets with Gordon, who is skeptical of the new DA. Dent has a reputation since he investigated so many officers while at Internal Affairs. But Gordon needs Dent's support to get warrants for the 5 banks. So he plays nice, but gives Dent as little info as possible. I'll get you your warrants, Harvey says, but I want your trust. Oh, you don't have to sell me, Dent, Gordon replies. We all know you're Gotham's White Knight. Yeah, well, I heard they have a different name for me down at MCU, Harvey replies. Later, Bruce crashes Harvey and Rachel's dinner to suss out the new DA. He's quickly convinced Harvey is the real deal and can be trusted. But someone in Harvey's department leaks. The mob's banker, Mr. Lau, learns of their plan to move on the 5 banks. So he gathers all their cash and hides it in Hong Kong, outside Dent's jurisdiction. Gotham's crime lords meet to discuss the situation, including Maroni, Gamble, and the Chechen. Then the man who robbed them shows up, the Joker. Gamble's guard approaches, so Joker kills him with a pencil. With the mob's attention, he makes a proposal. The mob is running scared because of Batman, and their money isn't safe. The vigilante has no jurisdiction and will easily get to Lau. He offers to kill Batman in exchange for half their money. Gamble is disgusted and shouts, "Enough from the clown!" and Joker reveals a suicide vest to stave off their attack. Then he leaves his calling card and takes off. Gamble puts a bounty on Joker's head, so the clown plays dead to get close, then pulls a knife on Gamble and tells him about his scars. How his drunk of a father killed his mother in front of him while laughing. How his father looked at him and asked, "Why so serious?" before carving the permanent smile on his face. Joker kills Gamble. Meanwhile, Bruce and Fox arrive in Hong Kong from Mr. Lau. There, Fox sneaks a cell phone into Lau's office. The phone is enhanced with new tech using sonar to map the environment. With its help, Batman fights through Lau's guards to grab the man himself and delivers him to Gordon. Harvey, Gordon, and Rachel strike a deal with him to testify about the mob's dealings, and with his help, 549 criminals are arrested. The mayor warns Harvey that the blowback will be fierce, and as though on cue, one of the Batman's copycats is found hanged, painted like a clown, and left with a note from the Joker. Will the real Batman please stand up? The Joker follows up with a video played on the news. He demands Batman reveal his identity. Until he does, more will die. Then he kills another of Batman's copycats on camera. That night, Wayne throws a fundraiser for Harvey. There, he talks to Rachel. He reminds her of what she once told him. When the city no longer needs Batman, they can be together. With Harvey, Bruce believes that time is coming. Meanwhile, Gordon gets a forensics update on the Joker's card. 3 sets of DNA were found, belonging to Judge Cirillo, Harvey Dent, and Commissioner Loeb, Joker's next targets. Gordon sends officers to protect all 3, and at the fundraiser, Harvey tells Rachel that he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. She isn't sure how to answer. Then, as Judge Cirillo is blown up and Loeb is poisoned, Bruce knocks Harvey unconscious to hide him. And the Joker arrives, looking for Harvey. He intimidates the guests until Rachel shows herself. The Joker tells her about his scars. He tells her about a wife who told him that he needs to lighten up and smile more, how she gambled and got in deep with the sharks, how they carved her face in retaliation, and how he carved up his own to show her the scars didn't bother him. She left him after that, disgusted at the sight of his disfigured face. And now, he always sees the funny side of things. Now, he's always smiling. Batman arrives to fight him off and rescue Rachel. Back underground, Alfred gives Bruce his assessment of the Joker. Years ago, Alfred and his friends were working for a government in Burma. They tried to buy loyalty from the tribes, bribing them with precious stones. But a bandit kept stealing them. After months of searching for the stones, they learned the man was stealing them just to throw them away. He wasn't looking for anything logical like money. Some men just want to watch the world burn. At a crime scene, the Joker leaves a note indicating his next target, the mayor. And the next day, at the parade honoring Commissioner Loeb, the Joker and his men disguise themselves as officers to hide among the procession. They fire at the mayor, but Gordon protects him, taking the bullet himself. Harvey Dent reaches his limit. He tires of the crime in Gotham and takes matters into his own hands. One of Joker's men was captured after the attempt on the mayor, so Harvey drags him to a warehouse and threatens to kill him, unless he tells him about the Joker. When the man doesn't comply, Harvey flips a coin. Heads, the man lives. Tails, he dies. Luck smiles on the man, so Harvey goes for another round, until Batman arrives to stop him. The man won't give him any answers. He's an inmate from Arkham with a broken mind, the kind of mind Joker attracts. Batman warns that if anyone saw what Harvey was up to, it would ruin everything. The incorruptible Dent would be shown as a fraud, the criminals he arrested would be set free, and Gordon would have died for nothing. Batman tells him to call a press conference in the morning, where he'll give in to the Joker's demands and reveal his identity. Rachel warns that giving in won't stop the killing, and if Bruce outs himself, they won't let the two of them be together. But Bruce cannot have any more blood on his hands. Alfred advises that's what Batman is for. He can be the outcast, Alfred says. He can make the choice that no one else can make, the right choice. Bruce does not change his mind. At the press conference, Harvey Dent announces himself as the Batman and turns himself in for arrest. And why did Bruce stand by to let this happen? Rachel demands answers from Alfred, and he proposes that Batman is too important to erase at the whims of a madman. Bruce and Harvey both understood that. Her disappointment in Bruce is undeterred, and she hands Alfred a letter to give Bruce at the right time. At Gotham PD, Harvey kisses Rachel before getting into a truck for transfer to Central. As bait, when Joker comes for him, Batman will capture the villain. Rachel tries to talk him out of it, so he flips the coin. Heads, I go through with it, he says. And Rachel finally sees the truth. Both sides of the coin are heads. Dent makes his own luck. The plan succeeds, with mixed results. Joker takes out most of the convoy, but is captured by Jim Gordon, who faked his death to protect his family. At HQ, the mayor promotes Gordon to commissioner, and Joker applauds. That night, the new commissioner gets a call. Harvey never made it home. Gordon demands answers from Joker and gets none, so he lets Batman try. At first, Joker only rants and shares his philosophy, that morals only exist when convenient. He'll show Batman that when the chips are down, these so-called civilized people will tear each other apart. Joker laughs at their rules. I have one rule, Batman says. Oh, then that's the rule you'll have to break to know the truth, Joker says. The only sensible way to live is without rules, and tonight you're gonna break your one rule. Then Joker reveals another truth. He's kidnapped not just Harvey, but Rachel too. The onslaught of violence from Batman does nothing to the Joker. He only laughs at the repeated blows to his head, then tells him Harvey and Rachel's locations. He'll have to choose which one to save. Batman heads for Rachel, and Gordon heads for Dent. But Joker's played a trick and switched the addresses. He's also set up phones so Rachel and Harvey can speak. She tells him she has an answer. Yes, she does want to spend the rest of her life with him. Then, that life is ended in the ensuing explosion. At the other address, Batman gets to Harvey and saves his life. However, Harvey is badly burned on one half of his face. And the Joker's plan is a success. Get caught by Gordon, blow up Major Crimes Unit, and escape with Lau. Elsewhere, Alfred reads Rachel's letter, where she tells Bruce she's going to marry Harvey. The day may come when Gotham no longer needs Batman, but she doesn't believe the day will ever come when Bruce no longer needs Batman. If it does, she will be there, but as a friend and nothing more. In the darkness, Bruce holds on to one faint spark, that Rachel was going to wait for him, that she was going to be with him after Batman was gone, and Alfred lets him believe it, keeping the letter from him. "That bandit," Bruce asks, "in the forest in Burma, did you catch him?" "Yes," Alfred answers. "How?" Bruce asks. "We burned the forest down." At the hospital, Harvey refuses skin grafts and pain treatments. "Remember that name you all had for me when I was at Internal Affairs?" he says to a visiting Gordon, then demands Gordon repeat the nickname. "Two-Face," Gordon says. "Harvey Two-Face." The Joker works with the Chechen to obtain the money Lau transferred, then burns his half of it, killing Lau in the fire. And on Gotham's news network, Wayne employee Coleman Reese announces he's going to reveal Batman's true identity, something he sussed out based on irregularities in the company's finances. Joker calls in to stop him, announcing that if Reese isn't dead in 60 minutes, he'll blow up a hospital. Ordinary citizens take up arms to attempt to murder Reese, while Gordon protects him and begins to evacuate Gotham's hospitals. And disguised as a nurse, Joker visits Harvey. He tells the burned man what happens when society's plans are broken. Joker only violated a couple of rules, threatening the mayor and killing a few people, but that was enough to drive Gotham into chaos. And the thing about chaos is that it's fair. He hands Harvey a gun and encourages him to join in the fun. Harvey grabs his lucky coin and shows Joker the clean side. "You live," he says, then turns to the burned side. "You die." Harvey tosses the coin and the Joker lives. They leave the evacuated hospital and Joker blows it up. Then Joker sends another message to the city. More will die tonight, so if any Gothamites want out, they should leave the city, though the bridge and tunnel crowd should be careful. Meanwhile, Two-Face continues following the whims of his coin. He visits a corrupt officer, demanding to know who in the force helped Joker get to Rachel. The man doesn't know, and a coin flip landing burned side up means the man dies. Next, Two-Face visits Maroni and learns which officer picked up Rachel. It was Ramirez. The coin spares Maroni, but kills his driver. Underground, Lucius finds that Bruce hacked every phone in Gotham for mass surveillance, and used Fox's sonar tech for 3D radar. Fox is disgusted by this unethical use of the technology, but agrees to use it just once to find Joker. After that, if this tech remains at Wayne Enterprises, he'll quit. Bruce tells him once they're done to type his name into the computer. With Joker's threat on the bridges and tunnels, citizens flee by ferry. So, two boats leave Gotham, one full of ordinary citizens, and the other prisoners Gordon is transferring off-island, the criminals Harvey put away. Then Joker reveals his plan. Each ferry is rigged with explosives, and each ferry has been given a remote detonator for the other ship. If neither blows up the other by midnight, Joker will blow them both up. Joker hopes to prove that people will turn on each other at the drop of a hat, but Gotham proves him wrong. Neither ship blows up the other, and at midnight, using the surveillance tech, Batman gets to Joker and stops him from setting off the explosives. Joker refuses to be proven wrong and tells Batman about his ace in the hole. He's corrupted Gotham's White Knight, and once people see what Harvey's become, Gotham's spirit will truly break. Meanwhile, Two-Face gets to Ramirez, who apologizes for her role in Rachel's death. She didn't know what they'd do to her. The coin spares her life, but at gunpoint, Two-Face forces her to trick Gordon's family into meeting him at the place where Rachel died. By the time Jim hears about it and gets there, Two-Face has taken his wife and 2 kids hostage. He's going to teach Gordon a lesson for letting corruption rot in his police force. He lost Rachel, so now Gordon has to lose the person he loves most. Batman arrives to find Harvey with a gun to Gordon's son's head, and the madman explains himself. The world is cruel, and the only morality in a cruel world is chance. Unbiased, unprejudiced, fair. Batman tells him the reason Harvey was targeted by Joker is because he was the best of them, and Joker wanted to prove that even someone as good as Harvey can fall. And he was right, Harvey replies. Then the coin tells him to shoot Batman, so he does. Should he kill himself too? The coin says no. Before he can hurt the boy, Batman tackles them off a ledge. Gordon's son lives, but Harvey plummets to his death. Gordon and Batman mourn Harvey's loss. With his corruption, Gordon observes, the Joker won and the city will lose hope. They won't, Batman says. They must never know what he did. Batman takes the blame for Dent's revenge-fueled murder spree, and Harvey Dent dies a hero. Sometimes, people deserve something better than truth. Alfred burns the letter from Rachel, and underground, Lucius types his name into the computer, and it runs a program created by Bruce, destroying the mass surveillance system. And Batman runs into the night to be chased as a villain, because he is the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. He's not a hero, Gordon tells his son. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight. 8 years later, the mayor celebrates Harvey Dent Day at an event hosted by the Wayne Foundation. They celebrate a Gotham free of organized crime thanks to the Dent Act, and denigrate the costumed thug who killed him, Batman. Gordon prepares to give a speech. He's written one telling the truth about what happened, but saves it for another time. Bruce Wayne watches the event from the shadows, having become a recluse in the passing years, though a snooping member of the staff finds him in the East Wing, limping on a cane, and Bruce recognizes the pearl necklace around her neck, the one which belonged to his mother, which this maid stole from his safe. She kicks out Bruce's cane and leaps out the window. The next morning, Alfred is surprised to find Bruce in the Batcave, somewhere he has not been in a long time. Using the tracker on his mother's pearls, cross-referencing the address it was taken to, Bruce has identified their jewel thief as Selina Kyle. Bruce also found printer toner mixed with graphite on the safe. She was after Bruce's fingerprints, not the pearls. From the way Bruce talks, Alfred can tell he's impressed with the thief. "You two should exchange notes over coffee," Alfred suggests. "So now you're trying to set me up with a jewel thief?" Bruce asks. "At this point, I'd set you up with a chimpanzee if it brought you back to the world," Alfred replies. Bruce hung up the cape and cowl but didn't move on, never found a life or someone to share it with. Alfred tells him about the 7 years when Bruce was gone, after leaving Gotham. Alfred hoped Bruce would not come back, and every year, Alfred would holiday in Florence. He'd go to a particular cafe, and he had a fantasy that one day he'd spot Bruce there with a wife, and he would know Bruce is happy. He didn't want Bruce to come back to Gotham, where only pain and tragedy waited for him. That night, Selina gives Bruce's fingerprints to the man who hired her to steal them. Rather than give her what they agreed on, he prepares to have her killed and tie up the loose end. But she has a congressman with her, someone she seduced, as an ignorant bargaining chip. The police come looking for him, and Selina uses the ensuing chaos to escape. Some of the men escape into the sewers, so Gordon and his officers head down after them. But Gordon is shot and captured, then brought to the man who leads the underground operation, Bane. Gordon escapes, but not before Bane grabs the letter from his jacket, the one containing the truth about Harvey Dent and Batman. Officer John Blake finds the wounded Gordon at a water outlet. The next day, Blake pays Wayne a visit. He tells him that Gordon was shot, and no one believes Gordon's stories of an underground army led by someone named Bane. He also tells Bruce about losing his parents, his mom to a car accident, and his dad to murder over gambling debt. John Blake grew up in the orphanage that used to be funded by the Wayne Foundation, and one day, when Wayne himself visited, Blake recognized the anger in Bruce that he knew so well himself, and he knew who Bruce really was, Batman. He tells Bruce that right now, Gordon needs Batman. Alfred checks into Bane and finds that he's a mercenary. He and his men were behind a coup in West Africa that secured mining operations for John Daggett, a Wayne Enterprises rival, the man who hired Selina to steal Bruce's fingerprints. Bruce also asks Alfred why the Wayne Foundation no longer funds the orphanage, and Alfred explains that the orphanage is funded by profits from Wayne Enterprises, and lately, there are no profits. After that, Bruce does something he has not done in a long time. He leaves Wayne Manor and heads to a charity ball. He's there to follow Selina Kyle, but runs into Miranda Tate, a member of the Wayne Enterprises board. She presses him about a fusion energy project he discontinued, but he is not forthcoming with any details. Then Bruce shares a dance with Selina and they talk. She tells him about her past, stealing from the more fortunate, doing what is necessary to survive. Bruce steals back his mother's pearls and she steals his car. The next day, Bruce goes to see Lucius Fox, who explains what happened to their profits. Bruce funneled all their R&D money into a fusion project that went nowhere because Bruce is unwilling to turn on the machine that they built. And for old time's sake, even though Batman is retired, Fox shows off some of his new tech, including the Bat, a powerful flying machine, though Fox hasn't been able to get autopilot to work. Later, Bruce painfully squeezes his leg into a device that lets him walk without the cane. When Alfred sees Bruce is thinking of being Batman again, he warns him about Bane. Rumor has it, Bane grew up in a pit, an ancient underground prison. After escaping, he was trained by Ra's al Ghul. Alfred warns Bruce not to go after him. But it's Bane who makes the first move. With some muscle, tech, and Bruce Wayne's fingerprints, he executes a series of trades on the stock exchange in Wayne's name. As he and his men make their getaway, Batman finally returns. New Commissioner Deputy Peter Foley is more interested in catching Harvey Dent's killer than Bane, and sends an army of squad cars after the Dark Knight. With the police distracted, chasing Batman, Bane escapes. And with help from the Bat, so does Batman. Meanwhile, Selina pays Daggett a visit, seeking what they owe her for Wayne's fingerprints, a program that will erase her from every database on Earth, giving her a fresh start. After some intimidation, Daggett admits the program was a lie. It doesn't exist. When she's swarmed by bodyguards, Batman arrives to help her escape. Bruce inspects a tablet he lifted from one of Bane's men and sees all the stock trades. He asks Alfred to bring it to Fox for further inspection. Alfred will do it, but after that, no more. He fears Bruce is in over his head against Bane. He's going to get himself killed as Batman, and Alfred won't be a part of it. But Bruce can't move on. The only life he was meant to have outside Batman died with Rachel. She couldn't move on from Bruce. Why should he move on from her? So Alfred reveals that she did move on. He tells Bruce about the letter she wrote, choosing Harvey Dent over him, a letter which Alfred burned. Alfred knows he's just earned Bruce's hatred, but hopes it will save his life. "Goodbye, Alfred," Bruce says, and leaves. The next morning, Fox shows Bruce what the stock trades were all about. They were bad trades meant to bankrupt Bruce, and it worked. The company is about to fall into Daggett's hands, which means the fusion reactor will be his. So Bruce finally meets with Miranda Tate and shows it to her. The machine works, and would produce clean energy for an entire city. But a few years ago, scientist Dr. Pavel published a paper on weaponizing fusion reactions. So Bruce shut the project down, fearing it could be used as a weapon. He begs her to wrestle control of Wayne Enterprises from Daggett and ensure the fusion reactor is never turned on. She listens and stops Daggett taking over the company. So he demands answers from Bane. Bane's plan was supposed to leave him in charge. But Bane has other plans. He kills Daggett with his bare hands. At Selina Kyle's home, she receives a visit from Wayne. He tells her that his friend Batman has what she's looking for, the program which will give her a fresh start. He'll get it for her, if she brings Batman to Bane. At the hospital, Blake visits Gordon to tell him Daggett was found dead, and his name was found all over strange permits for some kind of work in the tunnels under Gotham. And Gordon promotes Blake to detective for his good work. On a rainy night, Miranda visits a lonely Bruce at the home he's been allowed to keep. They spend a night together, unclothed by the fire. Later, in the tunnels, Selina takes Batman to Bane. They fight, but in a hand-to-hand brawl, Batman is no match for Bane. Bruce ends up on the ground watching uselessly as Bane shows him where they are. He blows up the roof, revealing they're beneath Wayne's armory and have access to all of Fox's tech. Then Bane breaks Batman's spine. Bruce wakes up in the pit, the prison where Bane was forged. There, Bane promises a punishment more severe than death, and teaches Bruce about despair. It's a feeling at its worst when coupled with hope that's just out of reach. Like this prison, with a tunnel to the surface too high to reach. Many have died trying. Bane will do the same to Gotham, give them hope for survival, so they tear each other apart in despair. Then they will all die, fulfilling Ra's al Ghul's vision, and Bruce gets to watch it all on a TV from his cell. And then, when it is done, and Gotham is ashes, Bane says, then you have my permission to die. Back in Gotham, Bane kidnaps members of the Wayne Enterprises board, including Fox. Gordon decides enough is enough. They send every available cop into the sewers to find them, while Blake stays above ground to chase up leads on what Daggett was working on. At the pit, Bruce learns of the one person who ever successfully climbed out of it. A child born in this hell, the other prisoner tells him. Bane, Batman observes. And in Gotham, Bane forces the board at gunpoint to turn on the fusion reactor. Then he forces a kidnapped Dr. Pavel to weaponize it. They remove the core from the reactor. Outside the reactor, the core will decay, and in 5 months' time, it will erupt in a nuclear explosion. Above ground, Blake demands answers from 2 workers. When they attack him, he uses his gun and inadvertently kills both. He tosses the gun away in disgust, then realizes what they're working on. Explosives. He tries to get out a warning, but it's too late. The explosives go off, trapping Gotham's entire police force in the sewers. Other explosions around the city kill the mayor and destroy all but one of the bridges connecting Gotham to the outside world. At the football stadium, Bane addresses the public, showing off his nuclear weapon and executing Dr. Pavel, the one man capable of disarming it. He announces that if anyone from the outside world tries to interfere, or anyone tries to flee Gotham, the bomb will be triggered. He commences martial law and sends the citizens home. The next day, Bane publicly reads Gordon's speech, revealing the truth about Harvey Dent. Then he blows a hole in Blackgate Prison to free those oppressed under the False Dent Act. And at Bane's call to rise up, the oppressed tear down Gotham's wealthy and powerful. The city falls into chaos. At the pit, Bruce learns more about Bane. He was attacked by the other prisoners, and a doctor's fumbling attempts to repair the damage left him in perpetual agony. The mask holds the pain at bay. And how was Bane born in the prison? A mercenary worked for a local warlord. He fell in love with the warlord's daughter, and they married in secret. When the warlord found out, he condemned the mercenary to the pit. But the daughter convinced the warlord to let the mercenary go free. The price? She took his place in the pit. She was pregnant with the mercenary's child at the time and gave birth in the prison. She was killed by the other prisoners, but one prisoner protected the child. After hearing this story, Bruce begins a painful healing process for his back. As he hangs from a rope, waiting to stand again, he's haunted by a vision of Ra's al Ghul and realizes he was the mercenary. He was the father of the child. Ra's tells Bruce it is time for Gotham to die. Bruce wakes up screaming and finally stands. Then he trains, and one day he climbs. He gets to the jump but misses, and the rope catches him. In Gotham, Blake and Gordon work in secret, communicating with the 3,000 cops trapped underground, and track Bane's trucks, one of which contains the bomb. Blake and Gordon have also learned the truth from Fox, that the bomb is a time bomb, with 23 days left on the clock. Those who are caught by Bane's tyrannical force are publicly hanged. In the pit, Bruce fails again and dreams of his father, asking him why we fall. Then, Bruce learns why he can't make the jump. The rope removes the most powerful impulse of all, the fear of death. So, the next time he climbs, it is without the rope, and he finally makes the jump. In Gotham, Bruce finds Selina Kyle and offers the Clean Slate program in exchange for her help finding Lucius Fox. They get to Fox, and he lets them know the reaction only has 12 hours left before it detonates. With Fox's help, Bruce retrieves his old suit and gear. Meanwhile, as Blake and Gordon search for the bomb, Gordon is captured. At a kangaroo court led by Crane, he is sentenced to death, but Batman rescues him, then lights his symbol of hope for Gotham. He gives Gordon a device. If he gets it near the bomb, it'll block the trigger signal, so Bane can't set it off early. Then Batman helps Blake free Gotham's police from the sewers. He asks Blake to lead an exodus across Gotham's one bridge, free as many people as he can, while Batman takes the army of cops to fight Bane. With 45 minutes on the clock, he tries to recruit Selina's help, but she is only interested in escape. "Come with me," she pleads. "Save yourself. You don't owe these people any more. You've given them everything." "Not everything," Bruce answers. "Not yet." The sun rises and war begins. Cops and mercenaries shoot each other. Batman and Bane meet on the battlefield. Batman cuts the cords of Bane's mask, sending him into a painful delirium, punching madly. He defeats the villain and demands, "Tell me where the trigger is. Then you have my permission to die." Bane can't understand it. How could Bruce escape the pit of hell when Bane never could? And Bruce learns the truth. Bane is not the child of Ra's al Ghul who escaped. That was Miranda. She stabs Bruce and twists the knife, then shows him the trigger. Her real name is Talia al Ghul, and Bane was her protector in the prison. After escaping, she found her father, and the League of Shadows took them in. But in Bane, Ra's only saw a monster who reminded him of the pit where his wife died. So he excommunicated Bane. Talia could never forgive her father, until Batman murdered him. She prepares to take her revenge and presses the trigger, but Gordon has just jammed the signal. In any case, only 11 minutes remain until time runs out, and the explosion detonates anyway. Talia leaves to secure the bomb, and Bane prepares to kill Batman. But Selina kills Bane first, having decided to return and fight with Gotham. Underground, Fox prepares the reactor. If they can reattach the core, he can stop the explosion. Blake leads children out of the city, ignoring threats from state police who fear their leaving will trigger Bane's explosion. But they make good on their threat and blow the bridge. They follow orders and condemn the children to die in the impending nuclear blast. 10 minutes remain. Batman and Selina chase the truck, and Miranda drives it off an overpass. The crash kills her, and in her dying breaths, she reveals that she overrode the reactor. So even if they get the core there, it's too late. There is no stopping it now. Bruce kisses Selina goodbye and prepares to fly the bomb into the bay. With no autopilot, he'll have to fly it himself and die in the explosion, but save Gotham. Before Batman leaves, Gordon asks him his real name. Shouldn't the people know the hero who saved them? "A hero can be anyone," Batman replies. "Even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders, to let him know the world hadn't ended." And suddenly, Gordon knows this man is Bruce Wayne. Bruce flies the core into the bay as Blake and the children watch. It explodes, and they know Batman saved them. John Blake throws away his badge, realizing he cannot work within the police system. Then he joins Fox, Alfred, and Gordon at a private funeral for the men who knew the real Bruce Wayne. And Alfred sobs before 2 generations of buried Waynes. The city reveals a new statue for their savior, and in death, Wayne returns the favor. He leaves Wayne Manor as a housing facility to care for the city's at-risk and orphan children. Lucius Fox is surprised to learn that 6 months ago, Bruce Wayne fixed the autopilot on the Bat. Jim Gordon is surprised to find a new bat signal has been installed. John Blake retrieves a bag left for him by Bruce Wayne. To get it, Blake gives the clerk his legal name, Robin. He finds coordinates in the bag and follows them to find the Batcave. And at a certain cafe in Florence, Alfred spots Bruce Wayne with Selina Kyle, and Bruce looks happy. In another world, there is another Bruce Wayne. This one has just learned of the existence of Superman, and he's witnessed the destruction of this Superman firsthand, when the supposed hero's fight with General Zod destroyed half of Metropolis. This Bruce Wayne has been Batman for 20 years, and his flavor of vengeance has grown ruthless. In this world, Batman kills the bad guys, and those he spares are branded with his symbol, and those with the brand are typically killed in prison by other inmates. Currently, he is investigating Russian weapons dealer Anatoly Kunyazev. Alfred helps, though he worries about Bruce's growing rage and cruelty, especially in the face of gods and supermen. That night, Bruce finds Anatoly at an underground fighting ring and clones his phone. He looks through every call the criminal made and finds he was in contact with young entrepreneur Lex Luthor. So he accepts an invite from Lex to an upcoming gala, which will let him get close and investigate. In the Batcave, he stares at his suit and then at another, which belonged to Robin years ago, before the boy was killed by a murderous clown named Joker. At the gala, Alfred remotely guides Bruce to Lex's servers, where he can steal the man's data. Bruce leaves a device to begin the transfer, then heads back upstairs to join the party. But Superman is there too, in the guise of Daily Planet journalist Clark Kent. And he has super hearing. He listens in on Alfred's conversation with Bruce, then meets the man himself. He asks Wayne his opinion on the Bat vigilante who thinks he's above the law. Bruce points out Clark's hypocrisy, writing for a paper that blindly supports the alien, Superman. They're interrupted by Lex, excited to meet them both. While downstairs, the transfer finishes. Bruce heads downstairs to retrieve the device, now filled with Lex's data, but it's already been taken by a woman in a red dress. Bruce follows her, but she gets away. Back in Metropolis, Clark Kent returns with a new cause on his mind, holding Batman accountable for his crimes. But his boss, Perry White, demands he drop it. Crime in Gotham is old news. It's not a story anyone cares about. At another gala, Bruce finds the woman. She's also after Luthor because he has a photo which belongs to her. But the data Bruce stole has military-grade encryption she hasn't been able to crack, so she returns the device. In the Batcave, Bruce works on decrypting it, but suddenly suffers a nightmare vision of the future. The world is reduced to a desert wasteland, where Batman fights an army led by Superman. And he fights large, flying, bug-like creatures. Batman is captured and unmasked by an angry Superman. "She was my world," Superman says, "and you took her from me." He kills Bruce, who wakes up back in the present, where the Flash reaches out to him through a portal from the future. "It's Lois," he shouts. "It's Lois Lane. She's the key." And adds, "You're right about him. You've always been right about him. Fear him. Fear him. You have to find us." Bruce wakes up again, and the decryption is complete. He finds what he's looking for, the White Portuguese, a ship carrying a rock capable of weakening Kryptonian cells. Bruce tells Alfred, "The first sample big enough to mean something turned up in the Indian Ocean 3 months ago. It is now aboard the White Portuguese being delivered to Lex Luthor." Bruce intends to steal it. "To destroy it?" Alfred says. "No," Bruce responds. "You're gonna go to war?" Alfred asks, shocked. "Thousands died thanks to Superman's battle with Zod," Bruce explains. "What's next?" Bruce asks. "Millions? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race. And if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty, and we have to destroy him." Bruce kills his way to the White Portuguese, but finds Superman waiting for him. The Kryptonian tells Batman to retire. He's through. "Tell me," Batman responds, ignoring his demand. "Do you bleed?" Superman leaves, and Batman adds, "You will." He returns home empty-handed, but left a tracker on the truck carrying the rock. He uses it to pinpoint the rock's location at LexCorp Research Park. Later, Bruce watches the broadcast of a hearing at the U.S. Capitol, where Superman is to be held responsible for his actions, including the battle with Zod and a recent slaughter in Nairobi, which Lois knows was a frame-up orchestrated by Lex Luthor. Superman voluntarily appears at the hearing. The main witness is a former Wayne employee who was badly wounded in Superman's battle with Zod. Bruce asks for everything they have on him and finds returned checks. Instead of accepting benefits payments, the man has been sending them back, scrawling messages on them, blaming Bruce for letting so many Wayne employees die in Metropolis. And the man has a wheelchair provided by Lex, rigged to explode. The blast kills the senator in charge of the committee, and many others. At LexCorp Research Park, Lex finds the kryptonite missing, stolen by Batman. And at the Batcave, Bruce prepares his mind, body, and kryptonite-enhanced weapons for war with Superman. He also checks the metahuman folder of Lex's data, revealing a strange photo of the woman he met, showing her in 1918 as though she hasn't aged a day. On the crashed Kryptonian ship from the battle in Metropolis, Lex experiments on General Zod's body. And that night, Batman dons an exoskeleton, built for a fight with Superman, and he shines his signal on Gotham's night sky. Lex stares at it from a distance and welcomes a guest, a kidnapped Lois Lane. He pushes her off the building to draw out Superman, and it works. The hero catches her. Then Superman and Lex have a chat. Lex reveals that he's spent 2 years stoking the distrust between Superman and Batman, framing Superman for the slaughter in Nairobi, and forging letters to Batman, blaming him for what happened in Metropolis. Tonight, it will finally boil over in a battle between the Son of Krypton and the Bat of Gotham. Lex also reveals that he's kidnapped Superman's mother, Martha Kent. Lex demands Superman kill Batman, otherwise he will have Martha killed. Superman heads to Gotham, not to kill Batman, but to convince him to help. Unfortunately, Batman is not in a listening mood. First, he strikes with powerful sound waves, then a barrage of bullets. Neither has much effect, but his synthesized kryptonite gas, that does the trick. Suddenly, it's a fair fight, and in a fair fight, Bruce Wayne is unmatched. He beats Superman and tells him, "I bet your parents taught you that you mean something, that you're here for a reason. My parents taught me a different lesson, dying in the gutter for no reason at all. They taught me the world only makes sense if you force it to." Bruce prepares to kill Superman with a kryptonite spear, but hesitates when he hears his pleading. "You're letting him kill Martha." He hears Superman beg for his mother's life, and her name, Martha, forces Bruce to think of his own Martha, his mother, Martha Wayne. "Why did you say that name?" Bruce demands, and Lois Lane arrives just in time to explain. "It's his mother's name," she shouts. Suddenly, Batman sees Superman not as an alien threat, but as a person like him. He throws away his kryptonite spear and finally listens to reason. Lois tells them something strange is happening at the Kryptonian ship, something Lex must be behind. Batman tells Superman to head for the ship where he's needed. Batman will save Martha. Alfred tracks the Russian's phone to a warehouse. In minutes, everyone between Batman and Martha is either dead or badly wounded. And decades after watching Martha Wayne die, Bruce gets to save Martha Kent. At the ship, Superman arrives to see Lex already has a backup plan in motion. He's combined his blood with Zod's and used the Kryptonian Genesis Chamber to create Doomsday, a monster built to kill Superman. They fight, and it's quickly clear that Superman is outmatched. He flies the creature to space, where the military fires a nuke, but it only makes the monster more powerful, while temporarily knocking out Superman. Batman realizes the creature is Kryptonian. He'll need kryptonite to kill it, and his last supply was the spear. So he lures the creature toward Gotham where he left the spear, but he's quickly knocked out of the sky. Doomsday prepares to kill him until Batman is saved by the woman from the photo, Wonder Woman. Superman arrives and the three of them fight together, while at the site of their earlier battle, Lois Lane finds the spear. She nearly drowns going after it, but Superman saves her while Batman and Wonder Woman keep Doomsday busy, though even being near the spear weakens Clark. He watches his friends fight the monster and sees that with its ability to regenerate, the battle is hopeless, unless he does what is necessary. Superman tells Lois he loves her. Then he grabs the spear and flies to the monster. He stabs Doomsday, and Doomsday stabs him. Both of the Kryptonians die. At the ship, Lex is found commuting with a monster with several boxes in front of it. The monster vanishes, and Lex is arrested. After Clark Kent's funeral, Bruce speaks with Wonder Woman. He tells her that he failed Superman in life, but will not fail him in death. He asks for her help in finding the others like her, people with powers or special abilities to fight whatever threat looms. And for the first time in years, Bruce is optimistic. He believes they will come together and do better. At the prison, Batman pays Lex a visit to let him know he's being transferred to Arkham Asylum. As Bruce leaves, Lex warns of a larger threat. He's hungry, he's found us, and he's coming. Bruce's first attempted recruit is Arthur Curry, also known as the Protector of the Oceans. Bruce travels far to find him, but the Aquaman is uninterested in joining Batman's proposed alliance. Next, Alfred helps to investigate another metahuman. This one moves at incredible speed. Based on facial scans, Alfred identifies the man as Mr. Barry Allen from Central City. Before attempting to recruit him, Bruce receives a visit from Diana Prince, Wonder Woman's human alter ego, and she tells him that the threat no longer looms, but is already here. She tells Bruce a story. An army of invaders once came to Earth, led by a being named Darkseid, a name cursed and feared in every universe. The Earth was defended by the old gods, men, Atlanteans before their descent into the sea, Amazons before their betrayal and enslavement, and Guardians from the stars. Historically, these groups never trusted each other, but for the first time, they came together. As Darkseid waged war, he found a secret on Earth, the anti-life equation, which can be used to eradicate free will and rule the multiverse. He called forth mystics, who worshipped and controlled three objects, the Mother Boxes, indestructible living machines. When brought together, they formed the Union, which cleanses a planet with fire, transforming it into a copy of the enemy's world. All who live become servants of Darkseid, in the form of parademons. Earth's defenders fought as one and defeated Darkseid, sending him back to his home planet of Apocalypse and stopping the Union from forming. The boxes were left behind on Earth, and the heroes made a pact. Man, the Atlanteans, and the Amazons would each guard one of the boxes. Recently, something woke up the Amazons box and it called out, leading one of Darkseid's conquerors to it. He stole it back and is now hiding on Earth, searching for the other two. Just like in ancient times, Earth's heroes must unite. Bruce and Diana decide that Bruce will work on recruiting Barry Allen, while Diana works on another metahuman, Victor Stone, or Cyborg. In Central City, Bruce meets Barry Allen and throws a batarang, revealing his identity as Batman and testing Barry's abilities, proving he is as fast as they thought. Desperate for friends, Barry agrees to join the team. Diana has less luck, but she thinks Cyborg will come around. When they notice the bat signal, they head off. Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash meet with Jim Gordon on the Gotham rooftop. He tells them that several citizens have been kidnapped by strange creatures. Parademons, Wonder Woman points out. They must be here following the scent of a mother box. Cyborg arrives to reveal that his father is among those who have been kidnapped, the head scientist of Star Lab. Looking at all the sightings of the parademons plotted by Gordon, they pinpoint the location of the nest. There, they find Darkseid's conqueror, Steppenwolf. Wonder Woman identifies him. The monster interrogates the kidnapped scientists in search of the Mother Box. When Steppenwolf threatens Victor's father, the heroes attack, fighting Steppenwolf and his parademons. With their combined abilities, they free the hostages, but Steppenwolf escapes, blowing a hole in the tunnel under Gotham Harbor. The heroes are nearly flooded until Aquaman arrives and stops the onslaught of water. In the aftermath of the battle, Aquaman reveals that Steppenwolf now has 2 of the 3 Mother Boxes. He took the one from Atlantis. And Cyborg reveals the final box of men, under his protection. He tells its history. The Nazis found it at the end of World War II, buried under an Italian monastery. But the Allies intercepted it and brought it to the US in '44. It collected dust at the Pentagon until Superman arrived, and they noticed similarities between the box and Superman's ship. Both were alien technology. When an accident nearly killed Victor, his father Silas woke up the box and used its power to save his life, turning him into the part machine monster that he is. The boxes, Victor explains, are change machines that rearrange matter at the will of their masters, and they all have the same thought. The box could bring back their one hope for victory, Superman. Cyborg warns that they don't know much about Kryptonian biology. There's no telling what could happen. And Diana points out that using the box would require activating it, which would give away its location to Steppenwolf. The group is split on what to do, and how do they even know Superman could win the fight? And Bruce points out the Mother Boxes didn't call out to Darkseid until after Superman died, as though they were afraid of Superman because they knew he could win. This is the only way, Bruce says. There are 6, not 5. There is no us without him. So they exhume Superman's corpse. While Alfred tries to talk Bruce out of it, he believes Bruce feels guilty over his role in Superman's death, and that guilt is overriding reason. Alfred, Bruce says, for once I'm operating strictly on faith, not on reason. With help from Silas Stone, they sneak into Star Lab, where Superman's ship is stored. They place Superman's body in the ship's Genesis chamber, but it's still damaged from Lex Luthor's meddling. Barry offers to run and generate the electricity needed to jumpstart it, while the ship's AI warns them against activating the box. The AI treats Cyborg to a vision of the future. Darkseid destroys the world. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Lois Lane are killed. Then, Darkseid uses the anti-life equation to turn a grieving Superman evil. Aquaman demands they abort, but Batman insists they continue, and they do. Barry runs. They activate the box, and Superman flies. Confused, he suspiciously eyes the 4 heroes, and Victor's auto-defense system attacks. Superman responds in kind. They fight, and even with the 4 of them united, victory seems assured for Superman, until Lois Lane arrives. He seems to recognize her, then grabs her and flies off. Then, having heard the call of the now activated Mother Box, Steppenwolf arrives, but the box isn't there. Silas Stone has brought it back to Star Lab. Steppenwolf finds him, and with no time to escape, Stone locks himself in the chamber with the box. He activates a machine, and it fires a laser into the box. Victor arrives just in time to watch his father die. Steppenwolf grabs the final box and leaves. The team joins Victor in the lab just as he has a realization. His father was not trying to destroy the box, he was trying to superheat it so they could track it on a thermal imaging system and find Steppenwolf's base. Though, Barry points out, that will mean fighting someone who fought hundreds of thousands of other super beings on the other planets he's destroyed. I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells, Batman replies. He's never fought us, not us united. On their way, they review the plan. Destroy the defense dome so Cyborg can get to and link with the Union. Then, Barry runs faster than he's ever run before and generates enough energy to help Cyborg break through the Union's defenses. They arrive at the base and take down the dome. Then, as a team, they fight through the parademons. In Gotham, after remembering who he is with Lois Lane's help, Superman visits Alfred to get caught up on the situation. At the base, the heroes reach Steppenwolf himself. Aquaman and Wonder Woman keep him busy, while Victor reaches the Union. Before Victor can link with the box, Steppenwolf frees himself and approaches Cyborg, until Superman steps in his path and turns the tide of the battle in their favor. But Barry is wounded while he runs to generate the charge, and they are too late. A portal opens to reveal Darkseid. Then Barry runs again and breaks the rules. Using the Speed Force, he reverses the flow of time to generate the charge and make contact with Victor before it's too late. Inside the Union, Cyborg fights off the box's psychological manipulation. Then, with Superman's help, disconnects the boxes. Aquaman plunges his trident into Steppenwolf's chest, and Wonder Woman beheads the monster, sending his corpse flying through the portal to Darkseid. The heroes stare at the Lord of Apocalypse, and he stares back as the portal closes. Darkseid is disappointed. Steppenwolf failed to take over Earth and failed to retrieve the anti-life equation. But Darkseid prepares to ready his armada and return to Earth himself. The equation will be his. On Earth, the heroes help each other up and smile at their victory. Later, Bruce, Diana, and Alfred make plans for a Hall of Justice, where they and other heroes will gather in the future to fight whatever evil comes next. At the Kent farm, Clark thanks Bruce. At Arkham Asylum, a guard discovers that Lex Luthor has escaped. Lex meets with Mr. Wilson, also known as Deathstroke, a villain who seeks to kill the Batman. Lex decides to help him out by offering the hero's identity, Bruce Wayne. In the nightmare future of a destroyed Earth, where Superman has fallen to the anti-life equation, Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Mira, and Deathstroke make their way through the wasteland. They run into the Joker, who taunts Batman, reminding him of his adopted son, the one Joker murdered. Batman gets angry, but Joker warns, "You need me. You need me to help you undo this world you created by letting her die. Poor Lois." Then Batman taunts Joker, telling him about Harley Quinn's last words, begging him to ensure Joker's death is a slow one. "I'm gonna honor that promise," Batman says, but for now they accept a truce. Then Superman finds them and the heroes prepare to fight. Bruce wakes in the present and finds a visitor outside, an alien known as the Martian Manhunter. "I'm sure you know Darkseid is not finished with Earth," the alien says. "The anti-life equation is here somewhere. We have to find it before he does. There's a war coming, and I'm here to help." He goes on, saying he never thought he'd see Earth's defenders united again. But he did, thanks to Bruce. "Your mother and father would be proud," he adds. Bruce responds, "I hope so." As time passes, Batman continues to fight for Gotham. One day, Falcone's idiot kid decides to try to play in the big leagues. He puts a crew together and steals a highly deadly virus from Gotham Central. Batman goes after them, while Alfred calls in Barry Allen, aka The Flash, to protect civilians at the collapsing hospital, including a shower of babies, or a baby shower. The deadly virus nearly falls into Gotham's water supply, until Wonder Woman comes to the rescue. Afterward, Barry Allen returns to the Central City Research Center, where he works as a forensic investigator, a job he takes personally because it may be the only way to save his father. Years earlier, Henry Allen was wrongfully convicted for killing his wife, Nora, Barry's mother. His parole hearing is tomorrow, and the papers are interested, so journalist Iris West pays Barry a visit. They knew each other in college, where Barry harbored something of a crush. He got close to her once, saving her as the Flash, but this is the first time they've actually spoken. And things are complicated. She asks about his dad, but is she asking as a journalist or a friend? The lines are blurred. Back home, Barry receives an envelope from Bruce Wayne, containing security footage enhanced by Wayne Enterprises tech, footage of Henry Allen shopping for a can of tomatoes while his wife was murdered. The footage would provide an alibi and exonerate him. if he had only looked up at the camera. As things stand, he didn't show his face, so there's no way to know for sure the man in the footage is him. Barry is disappointed, while his father seems at peace, only encouraging Barry to forget about him and live his life. But Barry has never been good at letting go. He visits his childhood home and remembers finding his mother in the kitchen with a knife in her chest. The painful memory drives him into a running frenzy. He runs fast, fast enough to enter a strange place between time and space, a chrono bowl, where he can reach out and touch the past. Maybe he could go back in time and save his mother, but Bruce warns against it. Even the smallest change in the past could have disastrous and unpredictable outcomes. We aren't meant to go back and prevent the tragedies that shaped us. These scars we have, Bruce says, make us who we are. After that, Iris visits to apologize for her insensitivity, but Barry's mind is still on the past. What if he could change things with minimal interaction? Whoever broke into the house probably thought it was empty since the car was gone, but if his mom just hadn't forgotten to buy that can of tomatoes, his dad wouldn't have had to leave the house to buy one. Barry runs to the past and covertly puts a can of tomatoes in his mother's shopping cart, then runs back toward the present. But along the way, he's stopped by a monstrous creature who knocks him off the path, landing him in 2013, a few years early before the present. Nonetheless, it worked. Nora is alive. Barry enjoys the reunion until he notices a complicating factor. He isn't the only Barry around. There's also his 18-year-old self. To avoid anyone discovering two Barrys, he grabs his past self and explains what's going on. Then he has two startling realizations. One, he is incredibly annoying. Two, today is the day Barry is supposed to get his powers, but in this alternate reality where he wasn't motivated by his mother's death and father's incarceration, Barry doesn't intern at the Central City Crime Lab, which means he won't get struck by lightning and doused in chemicals, he won't get his powers, and this world won't have a Flash. Barry rushes his past self to the lab and tries to recreate the exact circumstances which gave him his powers. But it's not an exact science. They're both hit by lightning. Past Barry is granted powers, but present Barry loses his, leaving him with no choice but to train his past self and hope that he can somehow return him to the present, and hope that reality is undamaged by his meddling. But there are suddenly more pressing matters. Today is the day that humanity learns they aren't alone in the universe. General Zod of the planet Krypton makes a public demand. There is another Kryptonian on Earth, and Zod demands that humanity hand him over. Barry knows the rest. The Kryptonian turns out to be Superman, and Zod doesn't just want him, but will also attempt to terraform Earth as a new home for Kryptonians. In his reality, Barry tried to help, but only managed to save one child, while many others died before Superman saved the day. It's all about to happen again, but maybe this time, Barry can make sure it happens differently. Maybe he can gather the Justice League now to stop it all before it happens. But he quickly learns, in this world, Victor Stone isn't Cyborg yet, no one's heard of Wonder Woman, and Aquaman was never born. Barry has somehow destroyed the timeline, creating a world without metahumans, and leaving humanity defenseless before Zod. Except, not all heroes are metahuman. Some are just people who have decided to fight for good. One of them lives in Gotham City. His name is Bruce Wayne. Most know him as Batman. The two Barrys visit Wayne Manor and find an older Bruce, one who fought a Joker and a Penguin years earlier. How could this be? Why would Batman be older? That would mean that Barry's actions not only change the future, but somehow also the past, making Bruce Wayne born earlier. Bruce quickly understands it. time isn't linear. Changing the past doesn't just branch you off into another reality from that point forward. It puts you on another strand of reality entirely, with a different past, present, and future. It sends you on a trip through the multiverse. Future Barry begs Bruce to help them find this world's Superman, but Bruce passes. After years of crime fighting, Gotham has become one of the safest cities in the world. He is retired. Instead, Barry and Barry head to the Batcave and begin the search themselves. Future Barry makes slow progress and tells Bruce about something on his mind. Bruce mentions something during his explanation on time travel, how different strands of the multiverse will inevitably intersect. Barry sees that this is true. His Bruce has an Alfred, and this Bruce had one. How do you explain these repeating people and events, other than through fate? Sorry about your parents, Barry says. I'm just trying to save mine. The reminder of the event which forged him wakes up the Bat. And he locates Superman. The Kryptonian is being held by a mercenary group in a Siberian black site. No match for Batman. They fly over on the Batwing, he disables the guards, and inside the heavily fortified cell, they find someone else. It's not who they're looking for, but Barry rescues her regardless. And once they get to the roof, she soaks up the power of the sun. She proves her Kryptonian origins by easily dispatching the mercenaries. They bring her to Wayne Manor, where she tells her story. Her name is Kara, and she is Kal-El's cousin, Superman's cousin. When Krypton was destroyed, Kal-El was only an infant. She was sent to protect him, but in this reality, it seems his pod never made it to Earth. Hers did, and for that, she was captured and stuffed in a cage. Her impression of humanity is bleak, and she has little interest in saving them, so she leaves. With the hopes of a Kryptonian savior gone, Barry gets desperate. Maybe they can recreate the circumstances that gave him his powers a second time. Maybe lightning can strike twice and restore his powers, giving them a fighting chance against Zod. Lightning strikes the Bat Kite, drawing its power into Barry, but all it does is hurt. The experiment is a failure. Until Kara returns. She went to see Zod and saw him slaughter people who fought back despite the odds against them. She thought of Barry, who saved her even though she wasn't Kal-El. So she came back to return the favor. Kara flies him to the stormy skies above, and this time he takes the bolt of lightning directly, and this time he wakes up with his powers restored. So, two Flashes, a Batman, and a Kryptonian head to battle. They attack General Zod head-on, while the terraforming begins. And in the midst of battle, Zod fills Kara in on his plan. Before Krypton was destroyed, Jor-El hid the key to Krypton's rebirth in a Kryptonian child, all the genetic material needed to start again. They intercepted Kal-El's pod, but didn't find it. The key is in her blood. And what happened to Kal-El? Zod's answer sends Kara into a rage. The infant did not survive. But rage only gets her so far. While she's distracted trying to save the planet, Zod stabs a hidden blade through her and extracts the genetic material. And Batman fares no better. His ship is damaged and the eject function fails, so he goes out in a fiery blaze, taking as many with him as he can. Present Barry watches Kara die and thinks of his future self. Time travel is the answer. He'll just go fast enough to reach the Chrono Bowl and try again. Future Barry follows him into the past, and armed with the knowledge of what will happen, they fail again. The Bat and Kryptonian die a second time. Again, the younger Barry insists, while the older Barry already sees that it's futile. He follows his younger self into the Chrono Bowl and watches while he fails again and again to alter the outcome of the battle. But there is no changing it. This is an inevitable intersection. This is fate. The younger Barry doesn't want to hear it. He refuses to hear it, despite the damage his repeated trips through time are causing the multiverse. Desperation turns to rage when he learns what the older Barry intends to do next: fix the timeline by letting their mother die. Over the years, over many years, that rage turns this other Flash into a monster, the one who first pushed Barry off the path to ensure his own creation. He visits from the future to recruit his younger self's help in finally finishing the job. But his rage and obsession have pushed the multiverse to the brink of destruction, sending universes on a collision course with each other. The heroes from these other worlds can only watch as space-time rips open in front of them. One Superman, who looks conspicuously like Nicolas Cage, first kills a giant spider. As universes collapse and collide, the time-worn Barry looks at the one who first traveled through time and tells him, "No matter how close I get to winning this fight, you go back and let Mom die. You are the inevitable intersection, and you do have to let go." He attacks, but his younger self steps in the way, sacrificing himself. And of course, with his younger self dead, the older, rageful Barry dies too. The colliding universes are restored. Barry visits the past once more. He watches his prior self drop a can of tomatoes in his mother's cart. Before removing it, Barry talks to her one last time. Though he is a stranger to her, Nora sees his pain and offers a hug. He accepts it before leaving with that can of tomatoes, condemning her to die. But before returning to the present, he notices the security camera and can't help but make one small adjustment to the timeline. He moves the tomato cans to the top shelf, creating a new timeline where Henry Allen looks up to grab them. Barry returns to the present. The footage is presented in court, and now that it shows his face, Barry's father is exonerated. Outside the courthouse, Barry's victory lap continues when Iris suggests he ask her out to dinner. He does, and she says yes. Finally, he prepares for another reunion with Bruce Wayne. Except it's not his Bruce. It's the one who fought an Iceman and a Plant Woman. It seems Barry has found himself in yet another timeline. Though Barry finds some comfort that this timeline's Aquaman looks just like his. Apparently, across timelines, even though Batman might be different from one to the other, all the Aquamen are the same. And like the Aquaman of Barry's world, this one loves to drink. And that's pretty much the last we see of this world. In another world, there is another Bruce Wayne. This one is only a child, and this isn't his story. This is the story of Arthur Fleck. Arthur has a dream to make people laugh, but he isn't very good at it. Not as a clown advertising for local businesses, and not as a struggling comedian. Or maybe Gotham City just isn't in the mood to laugh. It's 1981, and the recession hasn't spared Gotham. The economy is flailing, and crime is on the rise. Like many, Arthur is unhappy. Sometimes he even thinks he felt better when he was locked up in the hospital. But he does have some help in the outside world, a social worker he sometimes sees, and the 7 medications his doctor prescribed. Among Arthur's conditions is one that's quite ironic. This man who so badly wants to make others laugh suffers a neurological disorder, causing involuntary bouts of laughter, regardless of what he's feeling. One bright spot in his life is Murray Franklin. Arthur loves to watch his show next to his mother, whom he takes care of. He looks up to the entertainer so much, he literally dreams of meeting him. He would tell him about his mother. "She always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She says I was put here to spread joy and laughter." Murray would tell Arthur that he's special, and he would give him a hug. Maybe one day. Though it seems unlikely considering life's unkindness. Take what happened the other day. Arthur was working, dressed as a clown and holding up a sale sign. For seemingly no reason at all, some kids stole the sign and beat him up. He gets called into his boss's office, and what thanks does he get? His paycheck is docked to pay for the sign, and he's warned that he makes his coworkers feel uncomfortable. But there is one person looking out for him, his coworker Randall hears about the beating and gives Arthur a revolver for self-defense. That night, Arthur bathes his mother while she talks about the one man who could save them from their squalor, the man running for mayor, the man she worked for 30 years ago, Thomas Wayne. If he knew how they lived, surely he would foot the bill for something better. So she's been writing him letters for years asking for help. The next morning, Arthur disguises himself under a hood and follows Sophie to her work. She's a girl who lives in his building. She was nice to him on the elevator once. At night, he visits the stand-up club and takes notes. He jots down ideas for his own act, including one of his favorite observations. The worst part about mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't. The next day, Arthur's life changes irrevocably. First, he loses his job as a clown after the revolver falls out of his pants at a children's hospital, a revolver that Randall is now claiming Arthur tried to buy off him. On the subway home, things get worse. His involuntary laughter draws the attention of 3 Wall Street investors. They beat him up, and it would have been just like before, except this time, the clown has a gun. Arthur is scared after he kills them. He runs and hides. But once he's safe, he dances. He returns home with newfound confidence, confidence enough to knock on Sophie's door and take her in his arms. The next day, word spreads of a killer clown, but strangely, much of the public takes his side. The victims were employees of Wayne Investments, seen by many as a symbol of Gotham's rich elite, living comfortably while the rest of them suffer. Gotham's lost its way, Thomas Wayne tells the news. That's one reason why he's running for mayor. For Arthur, things are looking up. He's been so ignored his whole life, he wasn't even sure if he existed. But now, for the first time, he is seen. Except his social worker has some bad news. Their funding was cut. They can no longer talk, and he can no longer have his medication. That won't stop him, though. Arthur is determined. That night, for the first time, he takes the stage at an open mic night, and he gets plenty of laughs, but only his own, the ones produced by an involuntary disorder. He can't even get out one joke before it takes over. But at least Sophie is waiting for him afterward to tell him exactly what he wants to hear. That clown vigilante people are talking about, she thinks he's a hero. That night, Arthur reads his mother's latest letter to Thomas Wayne, the one where she begs his help for her and their son. That's how Arthur learns who his father is. Early the next morning, he meets his half-brother, Bruce. At the gates of Wayne Manor, Arthur performs for the boy, a few cheap tricks. He grabs the boy's mouth and forces it into a smile, until he's spotted by the butler, Alfred Pennyworth. Arthur asks for a meeting with his father, but Alfred sets the record straight. Arthur's mother was delusional. She and Thomas Wayne were never together. Back home, Arthur finds his mother getting wheeled into an ambulance. It seems while he was away, a couple of detectives came looking for him to ask about the subway murders. Instead, they questioned his mother, and she had a stroke. They find him at the hospital, but Arthur gives them nothing. He sits next to his unconscious mother while Sophie comforts him. Then, he turns on the TV to watch something that will surely cheer him up, Murray Franklin. To close out the show, Murray plays a funny tape, a recording of a local comedian who gets on stage and just laughs. It's Arthur. "Check out this Joker," Murray says before playing the tape and making fun of him. It's a betrayal. Murray Franklin, his hero, is not on Arthur's side. But while Arthur is laughed at, the killer clown is revered. Citizens take to the streets to protest Gotham's elite, all while wearing clown masks. Some even rally around a new slogan, "Kill the rich." It's enough to cheer Arthur up and give him the confidence to confront Thomas Wayne. He finds him at a theater and gets close by disguising himself as an usher. "My name is Arthur," he says. "Penny Fleck is my mother." Thomas is unfazed. He tells Arthur that he isn't his father, he never slept with Penny, and anyway, Arthur is adopted. "Your mother adopted you while she was working for us," Thomas says. Then she was arrested and committed to Arkham State Hospital when you were just a little boy. Arthur doesn't believe it. Why is his father saying all this? Why is everyone so rude? Why can no one show him decency? He almost cries, but instead, he laughs, earning him a punch in the face and a threat. Touch Bruce again, you die. But the next day greets Arthur with some good news. His clip on the Murray Franklin show has gotten a great response. They'd like to invite him on as a guest. Arthur accepts. Next, he visits Arkham and checks Penny Fleck's records. It seems Thomas was right. Patient suffers from delusional psychosis and narcissistic personality disorder. Was found guilty of endangering the welfare of her own child. Arthur steals the records and reads more. About a boyfriend who abused him and his mother. About how Arthur was found tied to a radiator, malnourished with multiple bruises across his body and severe trauma to his head. Penny was accused of letting the abuse happen and got thrown in Arkham as a result. Arthur laughs, he cries, and he visits his girlfriend's place for comfort. But he doesn't find any, because Sophie is nothing more than a neighbor to him, frightened to find a stranger in her home. Of course, their relationship was only a delusion in his mind, just like his mother and Thomas Wayne. Arthur returns to his apartment, laughing in his sadness. He is not happy. He hasn't been happy for 1 minute in his entire life. That's one of the last things he tells his mother in the hospital the next day. Then he tells her how he used to think his life was a tragedy, but now he realizes it's a comedy. After smothering her to death, he returns home and rehearses for his debut on the Murray Franklin show, trying to get the timing down for when exactly he should pull out the revolver and put it to his chin. The day arrives. Arthur dyes his hair green and paints his face white. He's interrupted by a visit from his old coworkers, Randall and Gary, ostensibly there to pay their sympathies after his mother's passing. But Randall has an ulterior motive. Those detectives have been visiting their work and asking about the subway murders, so he wants to make sure they have their story straight. Arthur kills him, but spares Gary, the only one who's ever been nice to him. Arthur finishes his makeup, puts on a flashy red suit, and dances down some steps on his way to the studio. The dance becomes a run when he spots the detectives looking for him. They chase him onto the subway, full of clowns heading for the big rally at City Hall today. And when one of the detectives accidentally fires his gun, the seeds of a riot are planted. Arthur is amused, but the cause and the protesters don't interest him all that much. He's got his big debut to get to. Before the show, Arthur asks Murray to introduce him as Joker. After all, that's what Murray calls him on his show, a Joker. And minutes later, the Joker dances on stage. He tells Murray what a rough few weeks it's been, ever since he killed those Wall Street guys. And everyone's upset about it just because Thomas Wayne got on TV and cried about it. But what if it was Arthur dead on the sidewalk? People would walk right over him. No one is civil anymore. No one thinks what it's like to be the other guy. Murray assures him that's not true. Not everyone is awful. But Murray is awful, and Arthur tells him why, for playing his video and for inviting him on his show. Joker decides to lighten the mood with one last joke. What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? I'll tell you what you get, he shouts. You get what you fucking deserve. He shoots Murray above his left eye, then again in the chest for good measure. The Joker is arrested, but smiles from the back of the cruiser as the riots-inspired light Gotham on fire. Before long, some clowns crash into the car and free him. Nearby, Bruce Wayne is taken out of a performance of Zorro as his parents try to sneak away from the riots through a back alley. A clown follows them in and turns the boy into an orphan. Joker rises, paints a bloody smile on his face, and takes in the cheering crowd. Soon, he's back in the hospital, laughing at a joke he keeps to himself. A private joke between him and that orphan in the alley. In another world, Bruce Wayne is in his second year as Batman, and he's been busy, teaching the criminal element of Gotham to fear the shadows. He can't be everywhere at once, so he chooses his targets carefully, and when chosen, they are beaten mercilessly. And when they ask his name, he answers, "I'm Vengeance." Fear is the Batman's weapon, but he casts a wide shadow. It's not just criminals running scared, but civilians too. They're not yet sure if they can trust Gotham's self-appointed protector. But Lieutenant James Gordon of the Gotham PD has made up his mind. He trusts the Batman, even if the rest of the GCPD don't. Tonight, Halloween night, Gordon lights the bat signal, summoning his partner to the latest crime scene. The mayor, Don Mitchell Jr., has been murdered. "No more lies" was scrawled on his face, and the killer left an envelope addressed to Batman. In it, they find a riddle and a cipher. Working with Alfred, Batman solves it. The riddle asked, "What does a liar do when he's dead?" Writing the answer, "He lies still," on the card provides a key, corresponding the letters H, E, L, I, S, and T with symbols. Highlighting only those symbols on the cipher spells out the word drive. Gordon and Batman find the mayor's car, and in it, a thumb drive. The macabre pun becomes obvious when they find the mayor's severed thumb attached to it. And on the drive, they find compromising photos. Mitchell with a girl at the Iceberg Lounge, a club run by Oz, also known as Penguin, the right hand to Gotham's crime boss, Carmine Falcone. It used to be Salvatore Maroni who ran the mob in Gotham, but under Mayor Don Mitchell's leadership, they took him down and Falcone filled the power vacuum. Batman heads to the Iceberg Lounge for an interrogation. Penguin claims not to know the girl in the photo, but one of his other workers, Selina Kyle, is in the background of it. Bruce follows her home. Apparently she's close with the mystery girl, and that girl seems to be in trouble because the death of the mayor has her in a panic. Selina dons an outfit perfect for a cat burglar, then heads to the mayor's place. Bruce follows and confronts her. They join forces once he realizes she isn't there for a score. She's there for her friend, the mystery girl, Annika Koslov. It seems she knows too much, so the mayor stole her passport to keep her on a tight leash. They retrieve the passport, then head back to Selina's place, only to find they're too late. Annika's been taken. Just then, news breaks of another murder. GCPD Commissioner Pete Savage, and the killer released video of it. He takes credit for the mayor's death, too, claiming both were liars, and he will continue killing Gotham's corrupt leaders until the city's day of judgment. Selina recognizes Savage from 44 Below, the mob hangout beneath the Iceberg Lounge, and she agrees to help Batman investigate, for her friend. First, Batman meets with Gordon to review the evidence of Pete's murder. They find photos again, this time showing Pete's involvement in selling drugs, and another riddle for Batman. Follow the maze until you find the rat. Bring him into the light, and you'll find where I'm at. That night, Bruce equips Selina with an earpiece and eye lens cameras before she heads into 44 Below, where she sees the DA, Gil Colson. At Batman's instruction, she talks to him. High on Gotham's #1 drug, drop, Gil says more than he should, about how the killer, who they're calling Riddler, is going after the most powerful people in the city. He knows so much. He even knows about the rat, someone who informed on Salvatore Maroni. That's how they took him down, clearing the way for Falcone to take over. And when Selina bumps into Falcone, it's clear she knows him personally. Batman demands answers. What is her relationship to him? But she bails. All she cares about is finding Annika, not taking down Gotham's corrupt. Something Riddler is quite interested in. His next target is Gil Colson. He knocks him out and kidnaps him for a starring role in his next riddle. The next day, Alfred looks at Riddler's latest cipher found with Savage's body. It translates to, "You are El Rata Alada," or "You are the rat with wings." All signs point to the rat. If they can identify him, they can identify the killer. Bruce attends the mayor's memorial, hoping the killer will make an appearance, and he bumps into Falcone, who tells Bruce a story about his father. Thomas Wayne was a doctor. One night, Falcone was shot in the chest, but couldn't go to the hospital and risk getting picked up by police, so he went to Dr. Wayne's house, and Thomas operated on him. He saved his life. The memorial's interrupted when Gil crashes into it. Riddler has armed him with a bomb, forcing him to comply or die. He has a phone taped to his hand, ringing with a call from Riddler, and a message taped to his chest tells Batman to answer the call. So he does. Riddler streams the conversation online as he forces Gil to confess his crime, taking bribes not to prosecute certain crimes. Then Riddler asks him a question that Gil will not answer, not even to save his own life. Who is the rat? Who informed on Maroni? Gil knows if he answers that question, his family will be buried alongside him. The people protecting that secret are more powerful than Batman can know. So Gil lets the clock run out. Batman is knocked unconscious by the explosion. He wakes up at the police station, but Gordon helps him escape to the roof, where he gracefully glides off in a flight suit. He later reconvenes with Gordon, and they put their heads together to ID the rat. It occurs to them that a penguin might fit the definition of rat with wings, so they follow Oz to the warehouse, where he manages their drug operation. Things get complicated when Selina arrives, looking for Annika, and they find her, dead in a trunk. But she has no time to mourn, because Penguin's men spot them. During the shootout, she steals their cash and makes off with it, while Batman chases down Penguin, and using the Batmobile, the chase is over fast. Gordon and Batman interrogate him. Penguin doesn't know who the informant is either, but when they ask if he's El Rata Alada, he points out the incorrect grammar. It should be La Rata Alada. Batman realizes it's another clue. You are El Rata Alada, as in URL, a website. He visits rataalada.com to find a chat terminal connected to Riddler. The villain reveals his next victim will be an orphan, and he makes reference to a mansion in a slum. He must be referring to the old orphanage built by Wayne Enterprise, the one that burned down. There, they find a projector playing a video of Thomas Wayne, a speech from years ago where Thomas announced not only his candidacy for mayor, but also the Gotham Renewal Fund, a $1 billion endowment for charitable projects. On the walls, Riddler has scrawled, "Renewal is a lie," and "Sins of the Father." Batman finishes the phrase, "shall be visited upon the Son." Bruce Wayne must be the next victim. Batman rushes home, but he's too late. Riddler did send a bomb intended for Bruce, but Alfred is the one who opened the package, and the explosion put him in the hospital. Bruce gets back to his investigation when Selina calls him for a meeting, where she tells him how she's connected to Falcone. He's her father. Her mother worked in 44 Below and brought Selina there often. But that's not why she called for this meeting. She wants Batman to live up to his namesake, vengeance, and help her get some. They found Annika's body in a car that belonged to Kenzie, a cop. She wants him dead. Batman tells her to wait for him before making any moves. It's too dangerous. She kisses him and assures that she can take care of herself. Later, Riddler releases a video to the public about Thomas Wayne. 20 years ago, a reporter investigated him and uncovered a shocking secret. When Thomas's wife Martha was just a child, her mother brutally murdered her father, then committed suicide. But their family, the Arkhams, covered it up. After that, Martha was in and out of institutions herself. Thomas tried to cover this up too and protect his candidacy for mayor. He tried to buy the reporter's silence, but when that didn't work, he turned to Carmine Falcone and had the reporter murdered. Bruce confronts Falcone, who tells him what really happened. Thomas only asked him to scare the reporter, but when that wasn't enough, Falcone took things further and did what needed to be done. And he reveals more. Maroni knew about their history, how Thomas saved Falcone's life. So he was worried Thomas would be in Falcone's pocket if he became mayor. So Maroni tried to stop that from happening. He sent the reporter after Wayne, and when that didn't work, he had him killed. Salvatore Maroni is the one responsible for killing Bruce's parents. Once Alfred wakes up, Bruce confronts him about all this, and Alfred sets the record straight. Thomas was a good man. He tried to quiet the reporter, not to protect his political aspirations, but to protect Martha. In a moment of weakness, he went to Falcone for help, but didn't believe Falcone would kill the reporter. The problem is, Falcone was smart. He killed the reporter so he'd have leverage over Thomas. And when Thomas threatened to go to the police, Falcone, not Maroni, is the one who had Bruce's parents killed. Their quiet reunion is interrupted by the bat signal, lit not by Gordon but by Selina. She's captured Kenzie, the cop who had Annika's body in his car. He also had Selina's phone, which they confiscated, and on it, Selina found a message from Annika, a last recording before her death. On the recording, they hear Falcone interrogating her, asking what the mayor told her. And what he told her is that Falcone is the rat. He's the one who informed on Maroni. Of course, Falcone couldn't let that information get out, so he strangled her. And the recording gives Selina the privilege of listening to her friend die. Kenzie fills in the rest of the puzzle. After Thomas Wayne died, everyone important went after the renewal fund like vultures. The mayor, Falcone, Maroni, everyone. As a huge charitable fund with no oversight, it was perfect for bribes and money laundering. But Falcone wanted more. So he made a deal. He ratted out Maroni so Don Mitchell, Pete Savage, and others could look like heroes. They took down Salvatore Maroni. It made their careers. Falcone made their careers and installed them all as his puppets. For the last 20 years, Falcone has been running Gotham City from behind the curtain. Selina's heard enough. She heads to the Iceberg Lounge to kill Falcone and avenge her friend. Batman goes after her. He won't let her become a killer. They'll stop Falcone, not by killing him, but by making him answer to the law. Batman stops Selina, and he brings Falcone outside, where Gordon has gathered GCPD's best. Only those he knows aren't dirty. But Falcone isn't arrested. Instead, he's shot and killed by a sniper. Batman realizes he did just as Riddler asked. He brought the rat into the light, and Riddler shot him. The villain gives himself up for arrest, apparently all part of his plan. The police investigate his hideout from where he took the shot. His name is Edward Nashton, a forensic accountant. From his diaries, they learn that he grew up an orphan, betrayed by Gotham's promise of renewal. He investigated the numbers and uncovered the corruption. They find another envelope there addressed to Batman. This one contains a carpet tucker, the murder weapon used to kill the mayor, and a note, "My confession." They also find that he's been posting online, amassing a following, an army. Riddler asks to meet with Batman, and he obliges. At Arkham Asylum, Riddler talks to Batman like they're on the same side. "We're such a good team," Riddler says. He was inspired when Batman showed him the power of fear and targeted violence. All this time, he thought they were working together, communicating through riddles. But Batman quickly disabuses him of the notion. "We're not a team," Batman tells him. "You're out of your goddamn mind. This is all in your head. You're sick, twisted." Edward screams, betrayed. Then he sings when he realizes Batman never solved his final clue. He doesn't know what's coming. Bruce returns to the Riddler's home and figures it out. The carpet tucker, "My confession." He pulls up the rug to reveal a map of the city and the phrase, "a real change," the password to unlock a recent video to Riddler's followers. It reveals their plan. On Election Day, mayoral candidate Bella Real will win. She's been promising real change, but Riddler says it's too late for that. Instead, it's time for retribution. Bombs will take out the seawall around Gotham and flood the city. People will take shelter at Gotham Square Garden, where Riddler's radicalized followers will fire on the crowd. All this will happen now. The bombs go off. The city panics in a rush to Gotham Square Garden. Riddler's followers draw their weapons as the crowd gathers. The plan has only one flaw. Gotham City is protected by the Dark Knight. The roof explodes above them as Batman makes his entrance. He quickly disarms most of them as his suit absorbs their gunfire. But one of them gets off a lucky shot. A shotgun blast to Batman's chest throws him from the catwalk, and he just barely catches the edge. He hangs trying to pull himself up, but the pain and the wind knocked out of him makes it impossible. The man puts the gun to Batman's head, but Selina is there to stop him. She helps Batman up, and while he still struggles to catch his breath and remain conscious, she kisses him. She tells him it's okay. But she's wrong. One of the men is still up, and he grabs her. Batman, still paralyzed, grabs a weapon of last resort. He retrieves a syringe and plunges it into his leg. The rush of adrenaline gets him back on his feet, and he attacks the man. He punches him again and again, with no signs of stopping, as though he can't stop, until Gordon finally calms him. "Who the hell are you?" Gordon asks the man. "Me? I'm Vengeance," he responds, parroting Batman's words. Bruce is disturbed by the apparent inspiration he's been to Riddler and his followers, but has little time to dwell as the stadium floods. Live wires threaten to electrify the growing pool, so Batman leaps to the wires and cuts them before anyone can be hurt. Finally, he lights a flare to guide the rescue. Bella Real is among the civilians afraid to take the Batman's extended hand, but a child accepts his help, and soon the others follow. The next day finds a flooded Gotham under martial law, soon to be overtaken by chaos and looting. Batman prepares himself for the criminal element which will soon rise. With Falcone dead, others will seize on the power vacuum. But there is hope, as Bella Real promises they will rebuild the city and people's faith in it. Batman himself feels hopeful too. Seeing his unintended influence and the fear he's spread, he decides to leave vengeance behind and instead become something more. He will give people hope. Meanwhile, a distraught Edward makes a new friend at Arkham Asylum, a man with a wild, scarred grin who promises that Gotham loves a comeback story. Both of them laugh maniacally. Finally, Selina invites Batman to leave town with her. She promises that Gotham cannot change, and eventually it will kill him. But he doesn't need to answer, because she knows the truth as well as he does. Batman will never abandon the people of Gotham.